undefeated meets the winless. The Riders looking to remain perfect on the season and against the East. Well, the Argos will try to pick up their first win shorthanded. It is Friday Night Football on TSN.
One of the league's best playmakers on display tonight. That's right, number 0. She should have a number like 30 or something.
He's Agent Zero.
Agent Zero, I like it.
How many big plays he makes. Roland Milligan, love watch this guy play. Let's see what kind of action he gets into tonight.
Mayan Williams, so many questions in Toronto. Can he be the answer for them tonight? Because they got to figure something out on offense. Can he do it? Can he do it is the question.
I'll tell you this, the Riders have figured things out. No Sam Emilus, no Kean Chafin-Baker, but they still have this guy, Keyshawn Johnson, leading SAS receivers against the Tiger Cats last week, recording 8 receptions for 124 yards, 1 touchdown. Corey May saying after the game he could be a premier receiver on this team. Must be nice to have a plethora of talent in these positions. And my goodness, the Riders have been great to start the season. I'm Kate Burness, that's Enoch Mwamba, that is Davis Sanchez, who is fired up for Friday Night Football.
Fired up. Let's go.
Let's go. We got Friday Night Football, and then we're off to the West Coast for the doubleheader tomorrow. But you know what? I like this matchup, but the Argos are going to have a really tough time with all their injuries. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let's bring in our Britt Dort, who is live from BMO Field. And Britt, as I mentioned, the Riders have had this really nice start, and now they're taking on an Argos team who has a very depleted roster at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, Kate. 8 changes to their starters coming into tonight's matchup. That's a lot. And if you're just tuning in and saying, well, it's one of those changes, bringing back in Chad Kelly, no, he is not healthy yet. And I was just chatting, actually, with head coach Ryan Dinwiddie about that timeline of his return. He won't be back next week either. They're hoping for before the bye week in week 6, but could be as long as after that bye week in week 6 as well. There's no Daniels at receiver tonight, no Mac Mahan at running back. But the good news is you are going to see that little newcomer, Mayan Williams, who we've been enjoying seeing the sample size of him. And they brought back Kevin Brown, who they released before the season started. He's going to back him up tonight. Probably one of the bigger ones, having no Wynton McManus on defense. And I talked to the defense about that this week. He said not only is that a veteran presence that we're going to miss on the field, also off the field. He's a big voice for this team. Yes, you mentioned 0-2 to start the season, but they're not panicking yet. Lots of the season to go. On the opposite side of the ball, though, the Riders 2-0 to start the year. And you can imagine this is an exciting matchup for A.J. Ouellette, who finally gets to return to Toronto. He missed the game last year to face his former team in his old home because he was injured. So he's pretty excited for tonight. And if you're wondering, is Kadeem Carey in the lineup? Because he was with Saskatchewan last week. No, he is not, because Thomas Bertrand-Hudon comes off the IR. He's back in that Canadian running back. We did talk to Corey Mesa about a future of maybe having all 3 backs on the roster. He said, absolutely, we could find a way to make that happen. So who knows? But when talking about that adversity, Kate, sometimes it's good for...
Sometimes it is, Britt. So the Toronto Argonauts could have one of the worst championship hangovers in CFL history. Since 1949, only 4 teams that have won the Grey Cup have gone on to start the next season without a win in their first 3. The most recent were the Red Blacks back in 2017, starting the season with 3 losses, 1 tie, following that Grey Cup win in 2016. The Argos haven't started 0-3 since 2019. They did not go to the postseason then. And let's go back to that news that Britt just gave us there, because that's very interesting. After speaking to Ryan Dinwiddie, we know that Chad isn't going to start next week, potentially the week after that. And this seems to be getting a little bit longer. And we're talking about the fact that I think a lot of people aren't, putting a label on the Argos until they see Chad back in the mix here, until they have Wynton back on defense. But when you're trying to rely on a guy like Nick Arbuckle, who really hasn't looked like that Grey Cup MOP, this could be quite tough if the Argos bury themselves into something deep here, Enoch.
They got to start with Nick Arbuckle and simplify things with him right now. I mean, they only have 29 points in this early season to show for that offense. That's really, really concerning when you look at this offense. And Nick Arbuckle himself, he's had a couple of interceptions in the last 2 games, and that's going to be a challenge. They got to find a way to get him started, and it's not going to be just hitting home runs. Ryan Dinwiddie's going to have to simplify things for Nick Arbuckle, make things simple, and obviously also use that running game to his advantage. Mayan Williams, Kevin Brown, who's just recently been at it as well, need to contribute to this offense.
You talk about simplifying. This team, you talk about complementary football. That's one of the things that we hear about quite often, and maybe an overused phrase or term. In this case, with this team and what the injuries they have, obviously missing Chad and the other pieces, that's what they need. That's how they need to simplify the recipe to get wins right now, is complementary football. We're talking about right now, in the turnover ratio, this is the 9th team in the CFL. They're -4 in the turnover ratio. That's last. If you're missing one of the MOPs or maybe one of the best quarterbacks in the game, you can't be a -4 in the turnover ratio. Also, defensively, you look at big plays. They're giving up more big plays than anybody else in the CFL. So, yeah, we could talk about Nick Arbuckle, and darn right, he hasn't been good enough. He hasn't been explosive enough when you look at the guys they've faced. But let's play complementary football for the Argos and find ways to help him out.
And you know what, too? If you look on the flip side of things, too, when it comes to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Trevor Harris has been good enough. And T-Money, as you like to call him right now, Ches, he's averaging just under 300 yards a game, but just so efficient. It's amazing. At 39 years old, he could be playing some of his best football.
I'm not taking credit for calling him T-Money.
You're right, Smiling Hank, Henry Burris.
I don't think I could call Trevor Harris T-Money, but
yes, you can.
I'm only regarding what Hank used to call him. So shout out to our former colleague Henry Burris. He used to call him the T-Money. But yeah, efficiency. Obviously we always talk about his pre-snap, Enoch, and how he delivers, deals, and dissects. He's a guy who gets to his. I was talking to guys today over there. He's getting to his 3rd read. Yeah, first read, second read. He's getting to his 3rd read, and that might be a deep dig or a crosser. These are 3rd reads that most people don't get to. And Trevor Harris, that's what makes him so great. So yeah, Emulis is out, Schaefer Baker is out, but when you deal and you process like Trevor Harris does, it makes everything okay.
You talk about the absence of these big-name guys. This is just, you talk about the overused terms in football, continuity. How about that? They are reaping the benefits of just that right now because you got the guys that are missing. But this offense is rolling and rolling so well that anybody that comes in is performing really well. You talk about the running game. AJ Ouellette comes in. He's doing well. Bertrand Udon comes in. He's doing well as well. Kadeem Carey came in for a little bit. He was doing well. I mean, they have a balanced attack, and they're doing extremely well.
Is anyone else excited the choo-choo train is back?
Thomas the
Train is back. We finally get to do this. Oh, T-Rev, he is doing great so far this season. Tons of weapons around him. Matthew Shinetti sitting down with Wynton McManus right after this. The first 2 weeks of the CFL season, you know we brought back the Friday Night Football theme song. I heard you two applied but didn't make it.
I don't know.
Do you want to audition again, Enoch?
I thought mine should have made it for sure. It's Friday. Come on.
That's all you got?
I mean, come on.
No, it makes sense. You know what? Kudos to the players that did participate. Here's a little behind the scenes.
Okay, ready to go?
And on your mark, yeah.
I'm looking at you.
Look right in the camera.
Okay. On me?
On you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And we're rolling.
Oh, I thought you were gonna have the music with me at the same time.
Oh, no,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was waiting for the music. It's Friday night football tonight.
It's Friday. Okay, a little more energy. Oh, a little more energy, sorry. I thought you said tender. And we ready. Hold on. Yeah, we ready for a fight. Auto-tune.
I'm gonna kick back, relax.
Yeah. Go kick back, relax. You can definitely do
I'm gonna kick back, relax.
Yeah, perfect.
And we're rolling.
Kick back, relax.
Perfect. Kick back, relax.
Okay. Kick back, relax.
Action.
We're gonna be hard to tame.
Okay.
Or is it and?
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Eat 'em raw.
Perfect. A little more energy. Eat 'em raw. Action.
Wait, to do 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I'm rolling. It's on you.
It's Friday!
Woo. From coast to coast.
All right, and let's try that again, Jason. Maybe do a little pushing on him when he does it.
If you're comfortable singing it, I would say definitely.
CFL is Canada's game. I feel that was a little deep, huh?
It's a little higher.
Canada.
But don't worry about.
The CFL is Canada's game. That was smooth.
Yeah! We all pumped up to party!
I can hear you in Saskatchewan.
The boys are all back. The boys are all back. The boys are all back.
Watching Friday Night Football.
The game is up. All right, I got you. Okay.
It's Friday Night Football tonight.
I love it.
Yeah,
We do that a couple more times just to see if somebody gets settled. That's great.
That was great.
That was good?
Yeah.
Woo! You hear that?
But I know when it feels just right.
That's great.
That one was just.
That's right.
There you go.
Woo! Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Awesome.
I love it.
Reggie Beggleton wins.
And Davis Alexander.
Davis Alexander as well. You know what?
You guys.
Shout out to every one of those players that decided to do
Harris'
that.
facial expression.
It
Go
takes
back and look
guts
at
to sing on television.
That's dirty, by the way.
All right, we've talked about this throughout the pregame so far, but some key injuries for the Toronto Argonauts as they start this season. Chad Kelly now, Wynton McManus, Janarian Grant, DeVaris Daniels now, Deontay McMahon, and Darius Siracco. My goodness, the list just goes on and on and on. Now, recently, our Matthew Shinetti got to sit down with Wynton McManus, even though he's not playing, still a key piece of this leadership.
For the second time in 3 years, Toronto is the Grey Cup champion.
Does it feel different now? I know how much you wanted that moment to lead a team out, even though you had been a part of a championship team in 22, to do it last year and to be the guy. I still remember you standing on the field pregame, just staring at the Bombers. To be able to know that you had your moment and you led your team after a difficult season to a championship. What do you think about it now?
Honestly, I want to do it again. You know, from just taking that time and manifesting it and experiencing it and being there wholeheartedly, like being where my feet are, taking in those moments and understanding that, you know, we do all this work for, I guess, a short period of gratification. And, you know, for me, once it was over, man, it lets you know that your work is not for naught, but, man, I want to do it all over again.
Does it matter more because you now hit that level that two guys that I know that you respect, Enoch and Alex Singleton, have been at? Like, did it feel like you climbed a mountain and that you kind of understood what they experienced and how they led? Did you have a moment where you're like, oh, this is what it feels like when you're the guy, you take that responsibility on and you win that day and you win that championship?
I had that moment, but it was short-lived for me, honestly. Because
you didn't enjoy it, or
I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I stayed with it with my family and enjoyed it that way. But I couldn't stay in it too long. I feel like that would just kind of make me a little complacent and, you know, be okay with having just that moment. And for me, I feel like what makes those guys great is they've had many moments. They've had a lot of times and opportunities where they're the leader of the team and led teams to the mountaintop. So for me, as many times as I can do it, man, you know, you rejoice in it, but it's back to work.
Look, never too high, never too low, right? This is what we do. We don't ride the wave, man. We make plays. We always do this, right?
Leaders lead in different ways, but it's how people take that leadership and whether or not they listen and they're receptive to it. Was there a moment that you realized that these Argos were listening to you and they wanted to be led by you?
It was a moment before in meetings, and it came from, I guess, the whole defense, but it started with the coach. You know, watching film after practice, going through things, talking through situations. There was a time I forgot what exactly he asked, and everybody was kind of debating about it. And then he was like, well, Wynn, how do you see it? You know, you're going to be the one out there, and like the room just stopped and everybody turned to me and just kind of looked. That let me know right there that, man, these guys are looking to you. And, you know, you got to be on top of it, and these guys respect you. These guys want to know your voice. So, you know, whatever it is you're saying, whatever it is, how you feel and how you see it, everybody's going to take to it. And so for me, I think that was just that moment where I was like, wow, okay, well, I got to speak up now. You know, I have to be vocal about what it is. This and what I say is what it's going to be.
Y'all know how we do business, right? Yes, the great way only. Yes, sir. The great way only, man. It's a pleasure, dog. It's a pleasure to play with y'all boys, man.
Great business just isn't just how you act and the business that you do, it's how you look when you do your business. When did it become part of your responsibilities to kind of maybe set the fashion tone pregame. And like, when did that happen? Or did you just say, listen, this is part of my, it may not be part of my responsibilities, but I'm going to take it?
I was asked, you know, I guess if you start making plays, you get a little more trust across the room and everybody. So, you know, equipment would come to me and ask us certain things, I guess because they could kind of feel that a lot of the guys listen to and respect what I have to say. You know, you look good, you play good, they pay good. So if we can step out on the field and everybody's comfortable with, you know, our uniform choice and our socks and, you know, the different things, what arm sleeves we're wearing, you know, it's always just going to help everybody play better and be more comfortable out there.
I mean, when you talk about leadership, I mean, what does it mean to you that you have a veteran equipment guy like Danny Webb coming to you and saying, this is a guy who has been around some incredible Argos teams, championship Argos teams, some incredible players, but he's now looking at you and saying, what pants are we wearing? What jersey are we wearing? Like, did you have that same kind of moment that you did in the meeting room where you're like, okay, it is on me. Like they're looking to me now.
I've had that moment a couple of times with Danny. You know, like you said, he's respected, been around this team a long time, been around the league a long time. And they came to me with that early on in the year. And then, like, a little later on in the season, we got the music for the locker room. Well, the Bluetooth system that we have in there only goes to one phone. And so they came to me and said, you know, they trust me to play the music for the locker room. And I think that's when I had that moment, like, man, you came to me to pick the music. So, you know, first it's the uniform, now it's the music, and now it's like I feel like I've earned that respect and I don't want to do anything to tarnish that. You know, great business is for a reason, and I got to make sure I keep it up. You know, Danny respects me and trusts me for a reason. You know, I don't want to let him down.
McManus will be joining us on the panel next Friday.
Allowed him to come in here?
Yes, but no toothpicks, Winton. I think we're going to have to find you a suit as well. Think we can make it happen?
We can make that happen, for sure.
Friday Night Football, this edition of Head to Head. Enoch, you won this last week. You were the winner, so I'm going to let you go first. I know you like A.J. Ouellette.
Yes, get used to me winning. But A.J. Ouellette is coming back to where it all started, Davis. And this is in Toronto. He is on a team, on a system where Mark Mueller has gotten everybody on that offense comfortable. Yep. He's coming back home. Trevor Harris got everything going now. You're focusing on the path. A.J. Ouellette's going to be handed the ball off early and often, not to mention the fact that this is exactly the type of game that he's built for. When you have a Winton McManus, who's the pillar on defense, who's also missing now, this is going to be a tall task for the Toronto defense to handle. I don't think they're going to be able to stop AJ for less than 65 yards.
My thought process, you understand this, you were with a bunch of these guys in the locker room in Toronto. AJ Ouellette's coming back. You think these guys want to let AJ run crazy? I think their focus will be to stop AJ early, force Trevor to win the game, and that's what Trevor does. This offense runs through Trevor, but I just don't think this Argos defense is going to let a guy come back, run all over them. For that reason, I think they stack the box. I think they stop the run, make them one-dimensional, and you don't like the fact that Trevor Harris is going to dime you up, but you live with it. I like the under AJ Ouellette. This edition of a head-to-head.
Well, Sam Emilus was the man in week 1, but out with a foot injury. Keyshawn Johnson stepping up in week 2, hoping for another big night. Here he is with Britt.
Keyshawn, your team's 2-0 to start the season. You know you're facing a team that's 0-2, going to be hungry for their first win. What's key tonight?
Go out there and execute. Execute our assignments and, you know, play hard from snap 1 to the end, to the last snap. And that's what we got to do, and that's what we're going to do.
Now, unfortunately, you lost Sam Emilus this week at the receiver corps. But I know you talked about how great this group is this year, about stepping up. What do you like about this group?
We got a bunch of guys in the room that want it. So at the end of the day, we know we got the next man up. That's our mentality in the room, and that's what we're going to go do.
Well, last week, I know you had a great performance. You seem to be one of the primary targets for Trevor Harris. How can you build on that?
Couldn't hear you. Say that one more time.
How can you build on last week's performance?
Like I said, just assignment sound. Go out there, execute, and when the ball comes my way, just catch it.
Thanks, Keyshawn.
Appreciate it.
Joined now by our Luke Wilson. And Luke, I think there were a lot of fans tonight that really wanted to see Kadeem Carey rush against his former team in the Toronto Argonauts, but he's on the PR because Thomas Bertrand Udon is back. The Thomas the Train, the choo-choo train, and pair him with A.J. Ouellette. And you have a very nice backfield that you will be watching for the Riders tonight.
Yeah, Kate, and I look at this Riders roster, and I got to tip my cap to head coach Corey Mace and the GM Jeremy O'Day. And you look at both these guys in their history. O'Day obviously has a ton of accolades in this league, played O-line. And you look at Mace, played in the NFL and the CFL as a D lineman. This team is physical, and they embody what it means to be Saskatchewan Roughriders. Look at what they did last week. These are wide receivers coming into the box. Hamilton doesn't adjust. So you got 7 blockers here. And if you watch Emelis on the edge, it is an unbelievable job. They're just going to say, hey, this is our star receiver. He catches the ball. We don't care. He'll block your DN, secure the C gap, and all of a sudden you got Ouellette, who runs like he's moving the earth, coming downhill. I love watching this guy tote the pill. I mean, there you go. You get 10 extra yards there. It's unbelievable. Gets up. He's screaming. The boys are humming. And once again, we got 8 blockers, 5 linemen, a tight end, an extra guy, and a receiver. We only got 6 in the box here for Hamilton. I couldn't believe they didn't adjust this. It is what it is. Saskatchewan says, you think you come in here and play 6 versus 8? Watch this. It's a great press here by Ouellette. He pushes, boom, makes the cut. You're not going to tackle this guy in open field, and if you do, you're going to have to take an absolute beatdown. Again, I sit here, I look at the way this roster's been constructed. I think it's a great tip my cap to Jeremy O'Day. I love how the way Mace is running the show right now. They're physical, and I expect them to come out here and establish dominance on both the offensive and defensive line scrimmage tonight.
All right, appreciate it, Luke, and really enjoyed your CFL stats on ChatGPT today as well. Now let's talk about more of A.J. Ouellette, and you know what? He's playing his former team as well.
It's funny that Luke brought that up about Sam Emelis.
Why?
I talked to Marquay McDaniel this afternoon, those who know Marquay, he was a physical wide receiver, and he brought up the exact same thing about Sam Emelis coming in and sealing off the edge, blocking defensive end. It's one thing to ask a wide receiver to block a defensive end. That's a huge ask. Mm-hmm. But he said he never cuts them. He always takes them straight up, and he loves the challenge. I mean, that to me, and this is, again, coming from a guy like Marquay, who was one of the most physical guys in his time, this is obviously something that they enjoy watching. They say every week on film, they go back and they watch what Sam does. Again, they're going to miss Sammy Emelis because of not just his production, because we know he's become their #1 guy, but also just the presence he brings to this team. One thing I wanted to mention is also in talking to Marquay about this team, and particularly about Trevor. He says in game plan, when they come in, we know Trevor's a vet. We know he's got a high football IQ. He said that on Mondays or Tuesdays, they come in for day 1, and he'll walk into the coach's office, Trevor Harris will, and he'll already be telling them about the defensive tendencies before they even started game planning for the week. So when you have a guy like that, another coach, an extension of the coaching staff, and a guy that works off the field and in the meeting room like he does, it's just a huge advantage. And this team is physical, and they have high football IQ.
We're watching a team that has high expectations, and like Luke talked about it, it is well built. They did a great job from top to bottom, offense, defense, special teams. They do a great job of performing at a high level, even when guys are missing. You talk about Sam Emelis and what he's willing to do. Corey Mace loves it about him. He talked about it last week. He was hurt middle of the game, and he still kept playing. They had to pull him out, but that's the attitude of this whole team. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about this team, and you talk about the commitment that they have to the running game, if Toronto wants to have a chance, they're going to have to fight fire with fire and start to run the ball as well. Because if you look at the Toronto Argonauts right now, they don't have an answer. They don't have a solution to the issues that they're having right now. I'm looking at Mayan Williams. I'm looking at Kevin Brown as well coming in. They will need to start running the ball because all they need is momentum to start opening things up.
To go back to the point, too, of Jeremy O'Day and what they've done with this team, it's continuity. They re-signed every single all-star. Look at Montreal right now. They did the same thing. And the Argonauts, all this change, and they haven't found their rhythm. Maybe there's something to it.
I tried it. I couldn't fight it. Now I just want to get back to me. Oh, baby. Ooh, back into the man I used to be.
Friday Night Football from Toronto, where the undefeated meets the winless. The Riders looking to remain perfect on the season against the East, while the Argonauts will try to pick up their first win shorthanded.
Anytime's great for football, but I know when it feels just right.
I'm gonna kick back, relax.
Watching football on a Friday night.
going to be hard to save.
Eat 'em raw.
Coast to coast. The CFL is Canada's game.
We're all geeked up to party.
And we ready for a fight. Kick back, relax.
Watching Friday Night Football.
The boys are all back. Playing CFL football. The game is up for grabs.
It's Friday Night Football tonight.
Well, this man has been great to start the season. 39-year-old Trevor Harris, so efficient, averaging just under 300 yards a game, looking to move his Riders to 3-0 on the season and remain perfect against the East. It is not the same story on the other side right now, with Chad Kelly still not ready to return to action. Nick Arbuckle once again under center. Pair of INTs last week, couldn't really get anything going. It will not be any easier for Arbuckle tonight against these perfect Riders. Welcome to the CFL on TSN. It's Friday Night Football. Davis Sanchez and Enoch Mwamba appropriately wearing that Rider green of his right now.
Stop,
It's
Kate.
a green. It's a green tinge. At least you didn't wear red to the opener. Key matchups for you tonight, Enoch.
I'm looking at that defensive line by the Saskatchewan Roughriders and that running attack in the Toronto Argonauts. Kevin Brown, Mayan Williams are going to have to turn it on tonight. And it's going to be challenging with Micah Johnson in the middle and Mike Rose as well. It's going to be hard. So Ryan Dinwiddie's going to have to be creative and find ways to pull guards and try to make holes.
Yeah, I'm looking at that boundary of that Toronto defense, Milton and Franklin. They've got to get some turnovers. They're -4 in the turnover ratio. We talked about earlier complementary football, and that just means in regards to this, they don't have their starting quarterback. They don't have the playmakers that they usually have. You got to find guys on defense to make plays. I always say it. Benji Franklin is one of the best athletes in this game. He has a chance. He has a chance to make big plays. He's got to jump around, make a play, and help his offense.
And, you know, it just seems unfair for the Toronto Argonauts at this point in the season, to be quite honest with you. And I get it. That I don't think anyone's evaluating them until Chad and a guy like Wynton McManus are coming back. But they can't bury themselves in a hole like this.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Montreal, like you said, Montreal is rolling. And people might not be evaluating them, Kate, and you're right. But the schedule and the standings are what they are. And the further they get in the hole, the harder it's going to be later on in the season.
The point of the game is you got to cross that line and you got to score points. They have to find a way to do that, and it has to start tonight.
The Argos haven't started a season 0-3 since 2019. Looking to avoid that this evening. Kickoff from BMO with Marshall Ferguson and Glenn Suter coming up right after this.
Thank you, Kate, and welcome to the 6, where the heat is on in more ways than one for Friday Night Football, as the 0-2 Toronto Argonauts will take on the currently undefeated Saskatchewan Roughriders. As we welcome you to BMO Field, Marshall Ferguson alongside Glenn Suter. Britt Gord is down at field level for us here throughout the evening, as a couple of defenders in this ball game, Glenn, have been absolutely stellar to start their campaign.
Well, how about defensive backs? It's a dream season for one, a dream postseason for the other. Both will be on the field tonight. Let's start with Saskatchewan's Roland Milligan, who, of course, last year, 8 interceptions, led the league, and was the defensive player of the year. He had a pick 6 versus Hamilton last week. That was the dream season. Now the dream postseason for Benji Franklin. And I tell you what, as a DB, I'd feel guilty dreaming like this if I was Benji Franklin. He had an interception for a touchdown in the semi, an interception for a touchdown, in a second one in the final, and then a big pick in the cup.
Ryan Dinwiddie trying to get this Toronto Argonauts club back on the tracks, as they have started a little bit slowly. Corey Mace, well, he's not satisfied with the way that this year has begun, despite the fact that they've been in the win column 2-0 against the East Division, and a chance to make it 3-0 here this evening as the ball is on the tee. And we are underway with Friday Night Football from BMO Field in Toronto, as the turn is back across with Calvin Turner Jr. to the 30-yard line, and the Toronto Argonauts take possession. First, Chad Kelly, as you heard in the pregame show, still not healthy. Out comes Nick Arbuckle.
Yeah, still not healthy. Maybe out at least another week, possibly a little longer. So it is Nick Arbuckle, has completed 68% of his passes so far in this early CFL season. Nick Arbuckle has got to change one of his characteristics over the last 2 games. That interception to touchdown ratio, he's got to flop that. He's got a couple of TDs and 4 picks. Switch that around. He's okay.
I'd like to get in rhythm as well. We'll see what they do with the early game script here as they'll bring out an extra offensive lineman right off the bat. As the injuries across the board for the Argonauts challenging tonight. They're trying to go big to begin things as they'll fake the inside run, and Arbuckle looks deep, comes back short underneath, and it is complete. And pushed out of bounds as the Toronto Argonauts starting offense led by Nick Arbuckle looks like this.
Take a look at the guys up front. Lots of changes. Hampton Ergel will play at right tackle. That moves Ryan Hunter over to left guard to play for Sage Dockstader, and George Moore just in a handful of games over there at left tackle. And then a couple of changes up front. There will be no Davaris Daniels in the receiving corps, and Mayan Williams, talked about him in the pregame show, he plays for Deontay McMahon.
Arbuckle on 2nd down and 4 takes the snap, looks over the middle, and will loft this one up high for grabs, and digging it off the helmet of Lacombo. It's Kevin Mittal.
Well, how about the play calling for Ryan Dinwiddie in the drive to start this game? Everyone talking, including Saskatchewan and their coaching staff, about the Argos probably wanting to start this game with a big run presence. Get Mayan Williams going, get that offensive line blocking. He goes play action twice, gets Midell down the field. 2 play action throws to start this game.
In a 41 yards that time to Kevin Mittal. They begin with the heavy run look and then throw it this time. Spread it out a little bit, hand it off tackle as the Saskatchewan Roughriders defense comes in with no changes this week.
No, and Shane Ray and Malik Carnaby watching those one-on-ones on the outside, because Hampton Ergel and George Moore very inexperienced at tackles for the Argos offensive line. Jameer Thurman leading by example. 15 defensive tackles, 2 sacks in just 2 games. And Milligan, first pick 6 of his career.
Finally.
Yeah.
What was he waiting for? Finally got into the end zone last week against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. We'll see what he has in store here tonight. Down the QEW against Toronto. Little check down underneath as Mayan Williams breaks across the 15, gets the first down yardage needed and more. And it's 2 first downs on this opening drive for the Toronto Argonauts and deep into Roughriders territory.
So McMahon was going to be the feature back. Kadeem Carey cut in training camp. He is now Saskatchewan Roughrider on the practice roster. And we get a chance to watch Mayan Williams tonight out of Ohio State. Played a little bit last week. So we did see a little bit of him last week. 62 yards rushing on 9 carries.
Also added 65 yards through the air. Surprising when you see the body type that he can catch it out of the backfield and run like that. But hey, the more you can do, certainly in the CFL's hard play action now for Arbuckle. Looks to the corner route, comes back down underneath, and then settles it down under into the, looks like 3-4 yard line they'll go. As Dejon Brissett makes the grab, and Arbuckle processing at a high level here early on, smiling and loving it, being in rhythm.
Yeah, and moving the launch point. You know, I like the play calling early from Ryan Dinwiddie. Just everyone talking about establishing the run for the Argos, and what does Arbuckle do? He goes play action. Let them key on Mayan Williams on defense, and let's just take it outside, move the launch point, get down well inside this score zone.
Hard count here for Arbuckle. He'll reset the Argonauts. Just 14.5 points per game early on in this season. Looking to score here early on. Little crossing route. And caught right at the last time that Dejon Brissett had a grab. This one rolls down. It's DeMonte Coxey who gets stopped short.
He had a couple of options there, and one was Williams coming out of the backfield. You see him right beside Arbuckle. He's going to push the flat, and Arbuckle chooses to go to the inside route. He goes outside to Mayan Williams. They're counting 6.
Ryan Dinwiddie's dialed it up to this point. Can he do it again here on 2nd and goal from the Saskatchewan 4-yard line? Again, they go hard count. Flags come up. And did Moore jump at his left tackle spot?
Procedure, Toronto number 62. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's still 2nd down.
They actually get Ryan Hunter, who jumps from that right tackle spot over to left guard for the injured Sage Dockstader.
Yeah, that's tough to do. And I know Ryan Hunter is very versatile, but just to go from right tackle over to left guard, first of all, different spacing, different guys you're facing. You know, I'm not sure that Corey Mace defensively has to get too exotic here. He could probably run some stunts and twists and maybe get that O-line, that young O-line twisted.
Hard count again. Looks like Saskatchewan jumped this time, as Shane Ray appeared to be in the 1-yard buffer.
One each. Put it right back at the original line of scrimmage. Nothing to see here.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 5. We'll go up half the distance. It's still second down.
See, that was, you just saw a shot of Shane Ray, who was the guy who jumped, but he was just talking trash big time to the newcomer at right tackle, Hampton Ergel, out of Eastern Carolina.
Yeah, he said, I'm coming.
Trying to rent some space in his head.
But be ready, get out of your stance. Again, hard count here for Arbuckle. Working the cadence on this first drive of the ball game. Quick throw, touchdown Argos. It's Dejon Brissett who's in the lineup for the injured Tavares Daniels. And the Mississauga native opens the scoring for an Argos offense that's been struggling to get on the board early this year.
Yeah, Dejon Brissett he only had 3 targets last week, did not have a catch in their game last week. But you can bet that playing in that spot, in Tavares Daniels' spot, he's going to see the ball a lot more. He'll be a blitz adjuster as well. That inside slot in the short side of the field is often the blitz adjuster. And he will be leaned on big time in this game. Great opening drive. Lots of interesting play calling from Ryan Dinwiddie.
The extra point is good. Nick Arbuckle starts the evening as hot as the air temperature here in Toronto, 27 degrees Celsius, and Arbuckle goes 6 for 6, including a big shot over the top down the sideline to Canadian Kevin Mittal, and then another Canadian into the end zone. Dejon Brissett opens the scoring here in week number 3. A 3-game home winning streak against the Saskatchewan Roughriders for the Toronto Argonauts. This is a good way to start it if you want to extend it to 4. What a shot over the top. What a grab by Kevin Mittal.
Yeah, Mittal goes up and wins that jump ball, and a great drive to open this game when everyone was talking about Toronto trying to establish the run. Arbuckle goes into a lot of play action in this first drive. A couple of his Canadian receivers started early, and Brissett ends it with that touchdown catch.
Complicated game, but a simple way to score. Find the open man, ripped it to Dejon Brissett, and a 7-0 lead for the Double Blue here early on, as this will be returned by Mario Alford, and we get a chance for the first time to see Trevor Harris and the Saskatchewan Roughriders offense.
6 straight wins for that Trevor Harris is looking for. It's the longest of his career. Completion percentage over 70 for 6 straight games. That's approaching a CFL record set by him and Dane Evans.
Yeah, back in 2019, that wild year that Dane had with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. As a flag came up here while teams were exchanging their way onto the field. Might have been a little John from the Argos defense and the Riders offense before they could even take a snap against one another, as Ben Major is our referee here this evening.
We have a player misconduct foul. Toronto, number 70. We'll go up 10 yards. It's going to be first down for Saskatchewan.
Liram Hairolahu?
Wow.
Well, if he takes another misconduct, it's an automatic ejection. You don't want to be losing your kicker in Liram Hairolahu, so he'll be in his best behavior for the remainder of this Friday night. As Trevor Harris digs in and A.J. Ouellette makes his return to BMO Field. Quick play action as a flag comes up. Keyshawn Johnson makes the grab right at the first down marker. Back where he began after that tremendous fourth quarter drive down the road in Hamilton last week.
Procedure, Saskatchewan had no end on their right side. We'll go back 5 yards. It's still going to be first down.
We'll wipe it off the board there, Suits.
Got to cover up the tackles, so one of those receivers have to be on the line of scrimmage. And Corey Mace feels like they had him there.
And Markway McDaniel as well. You see the receivers coach, former Calgary Stampeders great. He's going, my guys, we lined up correctly in their eyes, but going to look at it here.
They'll cover up with one receiver at the line here. And do they get there in time?
Looks like they didn't get up onto the line of scrimmage in time to set before the snap, so they'll play 1st and 15 Harris to the outside. Easy pitch and catch. Grab on the outside dealt. Duncan Busby taking a bigger and bigger role in the Saskatchewan offense as we take a look at the rest of the starters.
Daniel Johnson starts at one tackle, Jamarcus Hardrick at the other, but that's an O-line that for the second game in a row is solid. Playing the same personnel up front. Didn't really want to highlight any of them because that doesn't happen very often. Saskatchewan's had some bad luck there. Joe Robicelli is going to start for Sam Emelis at receiver. Keyshawn Johnson, as you mentioned, big fourth quarter for Keyshawn Johnson against Hamilton last week.
How about the former fifth-round pick out of Purdue, Daniel Johnson at left tackle as Trevor Harris gets popped but completes the throw. And down the field, A.J. Ouellette gets wrapped up by Isaac Darkangelo, who's in the lineup for Winton McManus. But you're going to have to bring down Ouellette like that all night because he is fired up to be back here in Toronto.
Well, Ouellette, sometimes you're either going to block on a blitz or you're going to release on a blitz. This time, Ouellette is releasing to be the hot route with this blitz coming. And Trevor Harris knows that he can't block them all up front. He's going to have a free guy. That's coming from the outside, and that's who hits him. But Ouellette is the hot route down the seam.
And Mark Milton coming in, trying to do a little peanut punch, get the football out that time. Unable to, so first down. After converting 1st and 50, Robicelli gets his first touch of the ball game here and dives across the 45-yard line. As the Argonauts starting defense without Winton McManus has all sorts of different bodies in new places.
Well, they're young up front, too. I mean, Andrew Chatfield has been their best, 2 sacks and 6 tackles in 2 games, but he's a rookie. They don't have Winton McManus. The panel talked about that at length in the pregame show. Isaac Darkangelo will start there. And there he is, Benji Franklin, out there on that dream postseason that he had.
Amazing run last year as the Argonauts went on to claim their 19th Grey Cup banner. They celebrated it last week, and now Tommy Stevens, the short yardage quarterback, is celebrating a big first down run. Finally pushed out of bounds by Derek Sluka, but Stevens back to his old tricks. Here in Toronto, had a huge run down the sideline for Calgary last year before leaving in free agency.
One of the guys in this offensive line, they get the line in the short yardage, everybody's on the line of scrimmage, of course, is Keyshawn Johnson, and he's the guy who seals the edge. He's the guy who makes that key block. These Rider receivers, because their coaching staff demands it, they're good blockers, and that's one of the things they're going to miss about Sam Emelis. But clearly, he's led by example because the rest of the receiving corps is blocking well. That was Keyshawn Johnson giving his quarterback the edge.
Great seal on the edge, and we'll see if they can get back that way again with a lead blocker in front. Ouellette cuts back to the 10. 5. Nobody will stop him in his return to Toronto. Thor's in the end zone.
Tremendous blocking up front. Watch Jacob Brammer with the kick out. That's the key block. Again, this time it's a kick out block, so you don't need the edge there. You just need the hole in that C gap, that gap between the guard, or excuse me, just outside the tackle. The kick out block by Brammer gives Ouellette that lane, and he is gone. 47-yarder last week was his longest of his career for a touchdown in Hamilton. Very similar looking play, almost identical right there.
Another former Toronto Argonaut, Trevon Tate, was the one who led him right through the hole, up the gut, and into the end zone.
It did look like Thor there.
Well, the Roughriders love themselves some June. 9-2 in June since 2022. A.J. Ouellette and another former Argo and Trevon Tate leading the way as we got a shootout in the 6th here in week number 3 on Friday Night Football. Welcome back to Toronto. A.J. Ouellette into the end zone. The convert happened just before we went to break, but they actually have to redo it because there was a penalty, a holding call, went against Lake Cordy Moore, and so they'll re-kick this extra point and put a little bit of extra shine on Brett Lather after a difficult week last week.
Yeah, that's just adding to his mental demons, trying to get rid of that and forget about last week's game.
Lines this one up from a little further away. Solid rush from Toronto.
Nails it.
And Lowther splits the upright, smooth as ever. As we get another look at just a tremendous touchdown from A.J. Ouellette here, setting the tone on what Saskatchewan really wants to do, which is pound the rock.
Yeah, the big boys up front just getting, there's the kick out I showed you with Brammer, and then there's a nice lead block from Trevon Tate, who's going to lead A.J. Ouellette through the hole. So you got a cut block on the backside, kick out from your front side guard, and then on the backside, Trevon Tate, he just leads the way, and A.J. Ouellette patient behind him. There's Thor getting after it. Boy, that look to camera going to commercial. That
we knew he'd be fired up coming into this.
Yeah, you think?
But Tate had 8 starts at right tackle, 2 at left tackle in 2023 as part of the offensive line that gave up a league-low 19 sacks in a Grey Cup championship for the Toronto Argonauts and made his way over to Saskatchewan. Certainly looks comfortable leading A.J. through the hole there on that touchdown.
Well, an excellent response when the Argos at home drive it the length of the field and score.
Lowther puts it on the tee once again. Drives it through the steamy GTA air. Up around 29 degrees early this afternoon as Calvin Turner Jr. brings it around the 30-yard line. And Nick Arbuckle, 6 for 6 in the opening drive, 80 yards. A hot start for both these clubs on Friday Night Football. We got a tie ball game halfway through the first quarter. We just saw a former Argonauts running back into the end zone, A.J. Ouellette. There's now a new man toting the rock here in Toronto with more. Here's Brick Dord.
Well, I think the biggest headline coming into the season might have been that Kadeem Carey was released by the Toronto Argonauts, but it meant that Mayan Williams was going to get into the lineup. We asked Coach about that decision. He said it was a tough one. Ultimately, it came down to wanting to go younger and think about the future of this club. Mayan Williams' nickname, by the way, Chop, which was short from pork chop. But, you know, I think one of the things we talked about, too, is Kadeem Carey. He's not in the lineup tonight with Saskatchewan, but Dinwiddie did talk about the phone call with Corey Mace, guys, and how he said, I actually thought Corey Mace would call me sooner about the Carey release because he goes, I knew he was going to end up in Saskatchewan.
Interesting. Yeah, you could feel that fit going out to Regina and certainly expect to see some of Kadeem Carey in the very near future. Would have loved to see him here tonight, Suits.
Well, full disclosure, yeah, we're disappointed.
Well, you asked Coach Mace, and he said, listen, I would have loved to get him on the roster. I would have.
Could you in some way, for us at TSN, get Kadeem Carey on the roster? This is going to be a fun revenge game for him. And couldn't happen. He had to do some juggling in other spots.
2nd and 7. Arbuckle backpedaling, throws this one up, and on cue, Mayan Williams trying to stay on his feet, but gang tackled there, flying out, making the play. Marcus Sales, 10 tackles coming into this ballgame, had 9 just last week.
We had a good conversation with Mayan Williams, and out of Ohio State, and he's a low center of gravity. He's 5'8" tall and 5'8" wide, I think. I mean, this guy's thick, but as you mentioned earlier, he can catch the ball into the backfield, takes great pride in blocking, which you have to in Canadian football. Yeah, fun to watch him develop.
Great hands. Making the most of them here early on in his CFL career as Haggerty sends a wobbler down. Mario Alford waits for it at his own 30, now picks it up and hits the Jets a 48-yard punt. Alford turns the corner, cuts it back, puts his head down all the way to the Toronto 45-yard line. Great starting field position here for Saskatchewan.
You know, there's been times in the first 2 games for Saskatchewan that they've had lapses on defense, a couple of 2-and-outs and stalled on offense at times, but the one guy that's been consistent throughout these first 2 has been Mario Alford. And especially when a team gets something good happening against them. They get a touchdown, they kick a field goal. Mario Alford gets that next return, takes it back to about midfield, which is exactly where Trevor Harris will start this drive. Big lift for this team and momentum.
Toronto nets only 13 yards on the punt in the change of possession. So Harris takes the handoff inside, rips it to the outside, and it is complete. Deontay Myers, 3 contested catches, 2nd in the CFL, and makes an early grab here.
That little play action fake, by the way, is designed to just keep the linebacker from dropping underneath that slant. We've seen that a little bit. We saw it in the fourth quarter against Hamilton with Keyshawn Johnson being the target on a lot of those slant routes. But the fake to A.J. Ouellette pulls the linebacker to the line of scrimmage, and that's why that slant's open behind it.
Harris in rhythm. This time he pumps, little double move to the outside. Myers is free, catches it at the 10, dives to the end zone. Touchdown, Saskatchewan. Instant offense after great field position.
Real nice route running and patient route running from Dante Myers, who is going to take his time and set up his guy in the one-on-one situation here. Watch this, up the field, little inside slant, then I'm going to go back out. Takes 2-3 hard steps to that quick slant, which they've run a few times already in this game, and then right back to the corner.
Went after Benji Franklin as well, isoed him. The double move, trying to take advantage maybe of Franklin. Wanted to go chase the football like he did so successfully in the playoffs last year, as the extra point is up and good for Brett Lowther once again. And these quarterbacks right now, 12 for 12. And both up above 75 yards passing, as the offenses have come to life here in week number 3. We've seen a lot of second half scoring in the first few weeks of the CFL season. It's a first quarter outburst in the most recent. Myers. Saskatchewan's last win here in Toronto, September of 2019. It's been a long time. They have a 7-point advantage right now because that group, the aerial attack for the Riders, they have been great to open this one up. Trevor Harris on point, 5 for 5, 76 yards and the touchdown.
Yeah, that last win in 2019, Cody Fajardo was the quarterback, and he beat McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how long ago that was. There's the play action again, and you know, sometimes when you got a Benji Franklin, you talked about his quick sixes and interceptions in the postseason, and you got a ball hawk like that. By the way, he did that in college too, and he's just that type of player. Occasionally you can get him on those double moves because they want to jump a route, feel confident in doing it, and as a coach, I think you let them do that. Every now and then you'll get one behind them, but go ahead and take those shots sometimes.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders offense feasting right now on Eastern defenses after wins against Ottawa, Hamilton, and a fast start here against Toronto as the flag comes up on a return for Calvin Turner Jr. And all right, Nick Arbuckle, let's see what you've got after Trevor Harris.
See, here's a big difference, though. Trevor Harris started at midfield.
During the return,
after this penalty.
Excuse me, illegal block. Toronto number 96 will go back 10 yards. It's going to be first down for Toronto.
After this penalty, Arbuckle starts deep in his own end.
Let's throw it down to our Luke Wilson and talk a little RPO game. What do you got, Luke?
Yeah, you know, you see Saskatchewan obviously run the ball well. They ran it well all year, and that's going again today. You saw that earlier. But what they're doing right now is they're running this run-pass option, and it's really, really tough to defend. When you look at this is a full-blown run play if you want it, and all of a sudden now we're actually, here we're going down the field here. This is not an RPO, but we're here, so we're faking the run, and then you come right in that window. You basically suck the linebacker in, you throw it right behind him. And then what do they do here is they've hit it a couple times, and they actually pump fake the RPO, and it's a slant and go or a sluggo, which is exactly what they hit there. So again, they're just playing everything off of their run game, and everything's clicking right now.
Yeah, good stuff. It's a huge hit this time, flying in. Marcus Sales, a little worse for wear. Papa DeJean Brissett, who was into the end zone earlier on in this ball game as well. But yeah, the RPO game working right now for Saskatchewan at a high level, Suits.
Well, once you get that running back established, and A.J. Ouellette had the big run already, that gets the attention of the linebackers. Anytime that Trevor Harris flashes that ball to A.J. Ouellette, the linebackers step up. There's the contact and the big hit. Just a note on the special teams. Saskatchewan's starting on their own 53 on average.
Yeah, field position totally different here as Ryan Williams trying to dance away from Jameer Thurman, can't get away. And not many can. One of the best middle linebackers in the CFL wraps up the big back from Toronto.
Yeah, he reminds me, and I make the comparison all the time between him and Wynton McManus, who's not dressed for Toronto, but is their leader on defense. He's down on the sidelines, not dressed tonight, but he and Jameer Thurman, to me, are those prototypical middle linebackers. Great run stoppers, can make plays on the football. Wynton McManus had an interception in the Grey Cup as well.
Great middle linebacker play across the CFL. Lots of new names as well getting their opportunity. As Alfred again, great field position immediately as he begins the return. But he'll just take a seat down in his own end of the field. Trevor Harris, after last week getting his 26th career game-winning drive, tying Kent Austin for 10th all-time, now chasing Zach Collaros, who sits at 28 on his career, but in the driver's seat at this point. And Corey Mace was telling us this week, so it just always makes the right decision. It's like almost boring that he just always makes the right decision.
Yeah, and sometimes he'll assess the situation after a couple of times where the offense is stalled, but then he is still processing the information and then comes back with a big drive and the answers.
That helps when you get a dominant running game, which they are establishing here early on. This one goes for a gain of 7. Turning the legs is Thomas Bertrand-Hudon back in the lineup, and an injured Argonaut down on the field that will get some attention.
Thomas the Train, that was the first I heard about that nickname, and I love that nickname.
As the dad of a 4.5-year-old, I gotta say that really just punched me right in the chest.
Yeah, that's too bad. Is
that Benji? No, sorry. No, Kenneth George Jr.
Yeah.
Apologies, is down on the field for the Argonauts right now. So obviously in some discomfort. And an Argonauts club that had 8 changes going into this football game after last week's loss at home in their home opener to the Calgary Stampeders.
You can see their D-line up front. That's Andrew Chatfield that you just saw. He's on the left side of this formation. Kenneth George is, and there's going to be a cut block attempt right there.
And he knew immediately that something felt off as Del Duncan Busby came across and made the block, just trying to secure the edge. And you see Cam Judge standing there as well, which with all of the swirling pieces around him, whether it be in front, behind, next to him with Wynton McManus out, Judge coming over via the trade for Falarna Rimolade in the offseason. Outstanding Stampeders pass rusher, and he's the one who's really in control as now a flag comes out. And got to think that the CFL replay center might have had some communication here with Ben Major.
Discussions right now with Corey Mace.
And we got Saskatchewan's offense still on the field. Toronto's defense getting watered up. Trevor Harris having a little conversation across the line of scrimmage there with Jordan Williams.
Yeah, Ben Major just talked to Ryan Dinwiddie first.
Now chatting with Corey Mace.
Or if that block was outside of the box. There's Duncan Busby on the, he's coming across the formation.
Yeah, and obvious why Kenneth George Jr. was in a lot of discomfort in that spot. So they have brought out the cart, as you see, and we'll get him loaded up to get the proper care as Wynton McManus now makes his way out onto the field as well to come and console the man he was lining up next to through the first 2 weeks of this CFL season.
Saw that block a couple of times, and it looked like it was beyond the zone that you're allowed to cut block, and that is likely what the command center is looking at right now.
Obviously in a ton of discomfort, and see the replay and how serious it was, but good honestly to see that they didn't have to use the air cast immediately on the field. The fact he was able to stand up.
From the video official, we're allowed to review this play. So we did pick up illegal block, Saskatchewan, number 18. It's a 10-yard penalty. It's going to be 1st and 20.
So it backs Saskatchewan's offense up. 1st and 20 is the medical team prepares to help Kenneth George Jr. off the field here. And another round of applause for the former Tennessee Volunteer in his 3rd year in the Canadian Football League. Trevor Harris locks in and gets ready to go back to work. And Major whistles it in, and after the illegal block penalty, 1st and 20. 14-7 with 30 seconds remaining in this first quarter. As Harris looks left, pumps, comes back the other way. Mitch Picton, ball up for grabs and hauls it in. Harris also got hit at the end of the play. But Mitchell Picton climbs the ladder and flips field position again in favor of the Riders.
Well, let's take a look at the late hit on Trevor Harris, as we wonder how late it was and if this was a result of the previous play.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Toronto, number 95. We'll go up 15 yards from the end of the play. It's going to be 1st down for Saskatchewan.
That's borderline getting tossed. Play like that. And I'm sure there's Argo fans who felt like the previous play was one that could have been 2.
Well, the fearless leader of the Saskatchewan offense, Trevor Harris, stands in, makes the throw, gets blasted, and directly back onto his feet as Corey Mace watches on, hoping for a 3-touchdown first quarter. 48 yards total after the penalty yardage is applied. Keyshawn Johnson catches it at the 20-yard line, rolls his way forward for a gain of 4. And Saskatchewan's offense in tremendous rhythm here early on, as that'll do it for the first quarter in Toronto, with Trevor Harris at the helm, putting up points early and often.
Now, baby, you say it's something that you're never gonna forget.
That's after 1 quarter of play. Up and down the field they went. The quarterbacks, just 1 incompletion between the 2 of them so far, Suits. And the way that these offenses are playing right now, you know, it might not continue for the remainder of the ballgame, but the balance, whether it be through the air or on the ground, is really impressive. And both these teams getting it going quickly in this one, which we haven't really seen this point in the CFL season.
Yeah, I mean, a really good opening drive by the Argos and Arbuckle to go with that play action, move the launch points around, and then the RPO offense from the Saskatchewan Roughriders with the run-pass options for Trevor Harris opens up the deep corner to Deontay Myers. That's a big play. And I want to emphasize for Saskatchewan how important Mario Alford has been in the return game for them in the first 2.5 games or 2.25 games of the season.
Major flips of field position, and Toronto's been struggling to get out of their own end at various points through the first 2 games and a quarter. As Harris hard pump at nowhere to go, looking for Robustelli. Incomplete is Benji Franklin on the coverage, and the first incompletion for Trevor Harris comes on his first throw of this second quarter.
We opened up by talking a little bit about Benji Franklin and his big postseason, and actually Trevor Harris has victimized him a couple times, gone after him a couple times, and he got him on that corner route. That time he decided to not look at the ball, not try and make the pick, but just make sure he locked down his man over here on the left side of your screen. And this time you see him just flash in front, couldn't do the bang route, couldn't get back outside. So Benji getting back to fundamentals.
Yeah, former Rough Rider Anthony Lanier, the second, got his hands up, made Trevor hang on to that one.
Saskatchewan is challenging that there should have been pass interference on the previous play.
Yeah.
The play will be reviewed.
Well, they went after Benji Franklin on the touchdown of Myers.
Exactly.
Now they're going after him again on the challenge.
Well, this is one of the reasons I showed you. I mean, this was the bang route. It's over here. Robustelli going one-on-one with Benji Franklin. And what he wants to do is this bang route inside on a little curl and then come right back, plant your feet, and get back to the sideline. He felt like Benji Franklin grabbed him, didn't let him get out there. Ball was in the air. He was the intended target. And Corey Mace decided to challenge.
You can tell Robustelli's a rookie because he actually signaled, hey, they should have thrown a flag there instead of doing the old head tap, right?
Yeah, well, every team has slightly different signals for that because it's a taunting call if you make the flag gesture.
Well, Franklin, his second year with the club at Tarleton State, watches on as Dave Foxcroft is the replay official, and they have the call.
Upon further review, the ruling on the field is overturned. We do indeed have pass interference. Toronto number 23. We're going to go up half the distance. It's going to be automatic first down for Saskatchewan.
Well, it was enough. You know, Benji Franklin, as I mentioned, instead of, you know, getting his eyes locked into the Trevor Harrison, the quarterback trying to take the ball, he locks on the receiver in Robustelli, but got too close. Grabbed him when he tried to break back outside.
Big package in here for Saskatchewan. Zach Fry, extra offensive lineman, alongside Tommy Stevens, all 6'4", 245 of him at Penn State, is in at quarterback. Saw the power of his run in the first quarter. Toronto answers with a couple of extra big bodies on the interior as well. First and goal. Stevens shows run, quarterback lead, and the Argonauts are all over it. Derek Parrish came in with 9 quarterback pressures, tied for second in the CFL. As flags come up in the backfield, an altercation between Andrew Chatfield, who's lost his bucket, but Parrish making a great play on the front side while there was shenanigans on the backside.
We have 2 player misconducts on the play. They're both 15-yarders, so they offset. Saskatchewan 52, Toronto 94. It's second down.
Jamarcus Hardrick at right tackle. Getting into it with Chatfield. We're going to get a little word from Ryan Dinwiddie. Late substitutions here defensively for the Argonauts. Atlius Bell, defensive lineman, checks out. Mark Milton back into the game here as Trevor Harris in the base offense has returned. A.J. Ouellette to Harris's right. Trevor looks to throw, goes left and just off the mark, low and away, incomplete, looking for Mitch Picton.
Yeah, because of everything that's been going on and the late hits and the trash talking and everything else, Picton had a great catch that we didn't get a chance to show you. We'll get back to that, but that ball just low and away, like Trevor rushed it a little bit.
The most accurate passers in the history of the Canadian Football League, but falters there on second down. And Picton, knowing he could have been in the end zone right now, celebrating. That one got away from Harris. As Brett Lowther comes out for the first time, just been knocking through extra points so far in this one, but makes the field goal attempt here. Smooth operation from the kicking unit in Saskatchewan is Brett Lowther, the 27th player to cross the 1,000+ point mark, and adds onto it here in Toronto as the lead extended 10-point advantage for the Riders over Toronto on Friday Night Football. Hysteria in the prairies. The kicking game's falling apart. Well, maybe not so much. Brett Lowther's really good at his job.
No, he's by the way, he was on a 23-in-a-row streak before it was broken last week, which he admitted was a bad game. And, you know, even when guys like me suggested that he's got a new holder and it could be take some time to figure that out.
Hard play action here. Arbuckle ripping it down the sideline to Monte Coxie. It bounced off the 8 and the 6 straight to the turf.
I was going to just finish that up with Brett as we watch the replay of this one, but Coxie tried to make that inside move to get to it, but Lowther was quick to say, listen, my holder, it was excellent. The snaps were perfect.
Yep.
I just missed the kicks. So he took full accountability, apologized to his teammates. I have not surprised at all he's bouncing back, and you see that one just something you don't see very often from him.
Monte Coxie's been great to start this season. Can't hold that one in. Is pressure on now, and Arbuckle thrown to the turf. He's making plays all over the place in his 4th year out of the Guelph Griffins just up the road. There's A.J. Allen.
Second start for A.J. Allen for C.J. Avery, who is on the injured list for Saskatchewan, and four defensive tackles in his first start against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and this time he comes on the blitz and gets home. I thought he did this very well against Hamilton and Bo Levi Mitchell. He went right to assist a teammate first to just try to chip off of an offensive lineman and then get right to the quarterback. Play the play.
John Haggerty comes out to crush this one, and he certainly does. Alford has the way for it all the way inside his own 20-yard line. There's a 58-yard punt and solid special teams coverage as well, as the battle on the teams begins between Toronto and Saskatchewan, as the Riders' defense has been strong. Micah Johnson, the veteran, 157 games started, leads the Riders as the veteran voice on this defense. Plenty of injuries to the Saskatchewan Roughriders receiving corps, and so in comes Joe Robustelli, who happens to have a family member with a very impressive career pipeline and lineage, and he might have played for the New York Football Giants, and there's Johnny Unitas, and was involved in a couple of big games, and by the way, he went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame with Y.A. Tittle, Vince Lombardi, Norm Van Brocklin.
Wow.
On and on you go. Pretty amazing. So Robustelli getting a chance to make a name for himself after his grandfather, Andy Robustelli, certainly made one. An impressive lineage for Joe to be able to lean on.
Well, he's got good size. He's 6'2", 220. He's been around a little bit, his 2nd year, and so he understands the terminology. Had a really good training camp by all accounts, and his quarterback said he reminds him of a pretty important player for him back in the Ottawa days.
Well, if you look at the shot at the back there, and it's a number in the 80s with the armband and the neck and the build and the who's that look like?
Go ahead.
Little Greg Ellingson,
yes,
perhaps?
Sir.
Trevor Harris underneath. on second down. It is completed. Myers keeps making plays here with Ian Schaefer Baker out of the lineup. Samuel Emelis, back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons, out with a foot injury as well. And Myers stepping up.
Well, and it doesn't matter if it's Dante Myers or Robustelli out there. They're not shying away from Benji Franklin on the corner, that's for sure. They're working that matchup.
Trevor Harris, 180th game played, 6th amongst active CFLers. Stares down the Argonauts defense on 1st and 10. Hands it off. A.J. Ouellette. Haven't said his name much since his touchdown. A nice second effort that time to cut it back. Get 5 extra yards, and that'll give him a gain of around 8.
Good patience by A.J. Ouellette, former Argo there, to put the brakes on when he saw right at the point of attack there was nothing but a big pile of defensive and offensive linemen. So he cut it back, got a nice gain on 1st down.
7.4 yards per carry. His best game as a Saskatchewan Roughrider came last week against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Stevens digs in with that wide stance under center and pushes the pile forward. I don't know if I've ever seen a short yardage quarterback that sets up that wide and that powerful, but when you got a 6'4" frame, you might as well.
Yeah, and right now he's found something on the right side. I mean, it looks like every time he's getting in this short yardage, not the goal line play they ran, but anytime it's a short yardage play, he's going off that right side. He's getting more than 1 or 2 that he needs. It's more like 4 or 5.
I'd follow Jamarcus Hardrick too, I think, if I was a short yardage quarterback.
Not a bad idea.
Derek Parrish down on the turf right now. Made that big play early on against Tommy Stevens in this second quarter when they tried to run it in deep down in the score zone. And Parrish, 9 quarterback pressures, tied for 2nd in the CFL. And Ryan Dinwiddie is tired of seeing double blue uniforms laying on their back.
Uncharted territory for him. Last time this team was 0-3 was back in 2019. They went 0-6 to start that year. Did not make the playoffs.
So Jason Shivers right there alongside Kevin Ivan, working as co-defensive coordinators and different levels of the defense as well. Defensive secondary, linebackers.
Well, starting the offseason, you know, we're Toronto, not just with injuries, but it was when you're a championship team, there's going to be lots of changes because the rest of the league wants to pluck your players.
Yeah, no doubt. So Derek Parrish down on the turf, and we'll step away while they attend to number 97 for a moment as Saskatchewan leads 17-7. Argonauts defensive line injuries adding up, and it's the offensive line struggles that have the eye of Luke Wilson. Luke, what do you got?
Yeah, when you're watching the Argos right now and you're wondering what's going on, why they're sputtering, I know they had the great first drive there, which was a good 50-50 ball catch, but I just don't think up front they're playing very well. I mean, I think they've got 2 rush yards right now. You look at this O-line, they're struggling to protect. We get this ball off, we take a hit. And again, I mentioned the 2 rush yards. Like, they've got nowhere, nothing going on the ground. And then this is what confuses me. Saskatchewan's only rushing 5. You have 6 blockers here, including your running back, and it's basically a free hitter. He's running a little pick, a little rub, but we're just not aware that they could be running a stunt. I don't get it. These guys should be playing a lot better than they are right now.
Struggling up front, and Trevor Harris there nearly throwing an interception on first down here when we were getting Luke's breakdown as well. So get a look at that as he's now looking at second down and a full 10. Have to earn it as Derek Sluke at free safety, moving over from receiver in training camp, lines up the Argonauts defense at the back end is Thomas Bertrand, who Don chopped down in the open field. Benji Franklin, they've gone after him a handful of time suits, but he flies up and makes the play when it's needed there.
Well, really good show blitz defensively here from the Argos. They're looking like they're going to come on the line of scrimmage and load it up and come with the full blitz on second and long, but they don't. They actually come with the stunt. It's really just 5-man pressure, and then they drop 2 linebackers that were on the line of scrimmage. Trevor Harris, even though he's a veteran, thinks, hey, they're coming with pressure, got to get rid of it quickly. He does. They make the tackle, Benji Franklin, and the Riders will have to punt.
This one away, Joe Couch lifts it high into the Toronto air. It drops down at the 5-yard line and picked up there by Kelvin Turner Jr. saving the world. Speaking of Super Team Canada, how about our man Lapo down south right now?
Oh, absolutely.
Working the
Left
flag,
coach.
getting ready for the Olympics. Go get him, Lapo. Team Canada. There's Nick Arbuckle deep in his own end. Again, field position a struggle for Toronto. Arbuckle will hand it off inside. Good running lane that time as Mayan Williams just found a big enough crack to fly through. And picks up a big first down, some breathing room for the Argos.
Yeah, Coach Lapo down there with Team Canada in California at Long Beach State University. There's a bunch of teams from different countries. A four-team friendly round robin they'll play on the weekend. And I think their first opponent is the United States team. That's our national team down there.
Looking forward to seeing how they do and follow along, of course, with all Football Canada social channels. There's another big run on the toss this time. And Mayan Williams has got the wheels rolling all of a sudden.
Well, that's back-to-back plays. And when your offensive line is struggling, and I would agree that this Argo offensive line is struggling in this first half, but for that first drive, the way you settle them down is to run the football. Let them tee off on the guy in front of them. Let them go get their blocks. Let them settle in. And let Mayan Williams get his feet underneath them.
Great shot there from our crew. I noticed a lot of the eyes from Saskatchewan looking up at the board immediately going, how did we just get cash back-to-back? Is this one going nowhere? They watched the Jumbotron here at BMO and figured it out on that first down.
Yeah, that seemed to have been maybe a little pep talk from Jameer Thurman in the huddle. Just a little, hey, that's twice they gashed us on run plays. We're going to stop that, right?
7th overall pick right there, and Peter Nicastro in the middle of that line. 9th overall is Ryan Hunter making the jump from right tackle to left guard. And then Mr. Irrelevant, Anthony Vandell, the left guard, the last pick back in the 2023 CFL draft. That's the interior as Micah Johnson skips and bobs his way across the line.
Yeah, for Ryan Hunter, I mentioned it off the top, going from the right side of the O-line to the left side is kind of like asking,
offside,
if you're sitting at home.
Saskatchewan number 4. We'll go up 5 yards and we're going to repeat second down.
And you never played football. Think of it this way. If you're right-handed and I say you got to change and be left-handed now. You got to write with your left, you eat with your left, you do everything with your left. That's how tricky it can be. The footwork is different. You got different angles coming at you. It's like night and day. So it is very difficult.
Another layer of respect for last year's most outstanding offensive lineman is likely the most outstanding rookie early on in this season for Toronto. Mayan Williams picks up the first down.
But Ryan Dinwiddie had the same gut feeling about this offense in the O-line. Just, let's let them run block. Let's let them get out there and lean on the front hand and go and run block. And then Mayan Williams can get a little thing going. And as this drive continues, watch for a play action somewhere around midfield.
Ryan Williams making a name for himself right now. They will fake it, flip it out into the flats. Kevin Mittal cuts his way back into traffic. Nice open field tackle. Looks like that was Tavon Campbell. Helped out by C.J. Rivas as well, but you called it there, Suits. They were all over it, but can't stop that kind of efficiency.
Going no huddle now, trying to keep personnel up there.
Quickly to the line. Stay in for short yardage. 2nd and 1. Drive in the legs, and Roland Milligan comes around the corner. Gives a pull or two on the backside of Nick Arbuckle, trying to eliminate the forward momentum here.
Kevin Mattel is one of those unique athletes really for our game, because you usually see the backs can come in at 6'1", 220, that kind of thing, but receivers are usually smaller. It's not really a tight end game. I know Luke doesn't want to hear that, but not really a tight end game.
I'll never forget the combine. Mattel came in, everybody went, ooh, he weighed in heavy, and then he ran like a 4.59. We're like, never mind, he's good.
Unique.
And Mayan Williams puts the shoulder down in the open field. What a great tackle. DeMarcus Fields came up and somehow got Williams to the turf. He had a head of steam. It looked like he was not going to be stopped.
Mayan Williams needs a break. I asked him about that too. I said, what's the biggest difference playing up here in Canada? He goes, well, the plays happen so quickly. I mean, the game happens so fast. It's just kind of getting your wind sometimes is the key.
It's amazing how many guys we talk to in their second year in the league. But what'd you work on in the offseason? They go, I just ran.
I ran. Work on the cardiovascular part of the training.
Well, sending Kevin Brown, released at the end of training camp, back now with Toronto. Fake the run to him, flip it outside. First time we've said Dave Unger III's name. And it'll be enough for the first down at the 39-yard line. As a flag comes up at the end of the play here.
Misconduct, 15-yard penalty against Saskatchewan, number 5. We'll go up 15 yards from the end of the play. It's going to be first down for Toronto.
Shane Ray was fiery early in this game. In that very first drive, we saw him do a little trash talking. And right after that tackle, you see him down in the left corner of your screen is talking to Hampton Ergel, the right tackle.
Same guy he was talking to early in the game. His 10th play of the drive here for Toronto. Arbuckle escapes away from Micah Johnson, flips it out. Kevin Mittal puts a shoulder down, takes 2, but they will stop him shy of the first down marker for now. Second and short coming up.
Yeah, a guy that size that can run, you can do a lot with, and he helps so much in the run game too. I mean, you don't have to change personnel.
Quick push here from the Argonauts up front.
I have noticed in this first half, Nick Arbuckle playing with a lot more sense of urgency after the last 2 games.
Great game. Just a 10-point difference between the Riders and Argos here on Friday Night Football on the Lakeshore.
I know we joke a lot on the CFL on TSN, but I've just been through a crash course with Enoch Mwamba. Yesterday it was the Coffee House. Today it's Ricochet. And then this was the AJ Ouellette run here.
I can't
and guess who's the circle a million times? It should be Wynton McManus. I'll explain at halftime. Well,
The Burness papers have to get the documentation certified there at halftime. Coming up with the panel back in studio is a check down here at the 10-yard line. Oh, putting the shoulder down. That's Kevin Brown back on the roster in the game and striving for the end zone to send a message that he should have never been cut in the first place.
Yeah, a little fake there, and then he's going to just open up for that quick throw if his quarterback gets in trouble. Check for blitz, didn't see it. It was a zone drop by Saskatchewan, so he sits down in front of that zone. Quarterback's feeling the heat a little bit and drops it off to Kevin Brown.
Another great play made in the open field by DeMarcus Fields. Second down, Arbuckle turns, hands it off. Brown puts his head down into the pile, and that defense stands tall. Late Cordy Moore right in the middle of the mix, making the play that time in his 3rd year at a UBC, the former 3rd overall pick.
So this area of the field, you're in. You're going to see, usually see in this area of the field offensively, teams try to widen the linebacking core unless you're going with short yardage.
Ian Dankwa checks into the game for the big package for Toronto. All 6'8", 355 of him. So we know what Toronto is trying to impress upon Saskatchewan, changing the personnel packages.
Someone fly motion one way or another across the formation.
3rd and inches. Got to keep that yard difference. Plunging to the right-hand side. Arbuckle got turned around back in by Roland Milligan. And did he get enough on the initial surge?
So once that short yardage is over, that's where it comes now. You'll see the offense trying to widen the linebackers, use some cross motion, fly motion from the slot backs. We'll see that now on first down. Can run or pass out of that formation. This is short yardage, so completely different. Got to get the first down first.
Say,
like they have it.
First and goal. You hear the reaction from the fans here at BMO. As Ryan Dinny in when he seemed unbothered by any sort of measurement. He was already deep in the play sheet trying to sort out what he wanted to run now.
And unbothered by 0-2.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, but, you know, when we talked to him a couple days ago.
A 15-play drive on this snap for the Toronto Argonauts. Still haven't seen Mayan Williams. I think they'd use the hammer down here deep in the score zone, but Kevin Brown stays in the backfield. They'll hand it off. Nope, pulls it out. Arbuckle got running room, giving chase, running for the end zone. And it's C.J. Rivas that turns him around, or at the very least slows him down just enough.
Don't think that Arbuckle crossed the plane here, but there's a fake cross motion and then back this way. Little play action for Arbuckle coming around the edge. Play inside, fake that handoff to Kevin Brown, and see if you can race to the corner.
Oh, now Arbuckle got stuffed. Short yardage package was in as they roll around at the end of the play, but Arbuckle back-to-back plays getting popped, and he's been running the short yardage package as well. So a physical drive on last year's Grey Cup MVP.
They're going.
Right in the middle, A.J. Allen was the one that made the play. So Toronto checks out Jake Herslow, sends in the extra big body. And Micah Johnson making his way to the sidelines here in short yardage. Surprised to see that, the big man in the middle of that defense. And some confusion on the substitution package as well. Mike Rose ran off the field, now back onto the field, trying to get in and established at the line of scrimmage. Hands down late here in the first half as they'll hand it off inside. Arbuckle goes looking to push. They can't get across the line, and the Riders stack them up. Oh, but there's flags at the end of the play.
Flags way away from the play.
Looked like Marcus Sales was in a little physical conversation with DeMonte Coxey, but which way will the flags go as Kevin Brown got stacked up?
Mike Rose is exhausted, not just from the play, but from running all the way to the sideline and then all the way back.
Playing the drive.
We'll take a look at whether or not Kevin Brown even got close.
The result of the play is the runner was short of goal, so it's a turnover on downs. After the play, we have 2 misconducts penalty, both 15-yarders.
So offsetting.
86 Toronto, 8 Saskatchewan. Those penalties offset. It's first down Saskatchewan at the 1-yard line.
Well, how about the tremendous length as well when you view it from over the top of that mosh pit of Baldonado reaching and just trying to hang on to anything he could of Kevin Brown to keep him out of the end zone. That was a team effort.
Well, and inside the 5 for what, 4 snaps?
The drive was 17 plays. Man, you do not see that very much in the modern CFL. 96 yards, 7.5 minutes.
Couldn't get the last yard.
No points.
Which is the hardest yard.
Trevor Harris hands it off. And A.J. Ouellette unable to go anywhere. Nice play right there in the backfield. DeMarcus Johnson, one of those substitutes in the lineup for the banged-up Argos D-line.
Interesting call here. Often the offense will try and take that shot down the field, and if you get the PI, you get a chance. If you make the catch, obviously, and then make sure your guy can catch it and no one else can.
Trying to bleed some clock here. Get to halftime with this 10-point lead are the Riders. See how they manage it. They'll hand it off. A.J. Ouellette will stay on his feet. Out to the 5-yard line. Still killing clock. And finally thrown down to the turf at the end. That's Tyshawn Blackburn. Now another conversation at the end of the play as the two teams.
It's third down.
Plenty of discussion.
Toronto's taking a timeout. Timeout Toronto.
Toronto will stop the clock. Have time to get a return and a field goal, possibly. If they can get. Yeah, and that's why you don't throw that deep route in this scenario, because we're almost at halftime. And you run the ball to try and kill that half. Didn't quite get there for the Riders.
Friday Night Football at the half coming up with Kate Burness, Enoch Mwamba, Davis Sanchez back in studio breaking it down for you. It's a great matchup here on Friday Night Football. to make Toronto try to earn it at the end of the half. High lofting punt will drop down at the 50-yard line of the Argonauts. Across the 55 and stepping out of bounds is Calvin Turner Jr. Nick Arbuckle with 12 seconds remaining comes back onto the field after getting multiple shots at the end zone, but that Riders defense stands tall.
That's probably the best chance they had to cross the goal line. This didn't look like there was anything in these short yardage formations. That's just Kevin Brown run right into the back of his old line and nothing doing. Now you're about 10 yards away from a field goal try, but you've got to be efficient here with 12 seconds.
Yeah, Liram Haralahu was good from anywhere around the 55 in warm-ups, so you're right, Suits. If you can get a little chunk here, take advantage of that. As Coxie and Sales, who just had a confrontation at the end of the last drive, line up across from each other, and that's the direction they'll try to go. It's a hook and go, and it's going nowhere. Sales almost intercepted it, and Coxie knocked it away from him at the end of the play. And Arbuckle threw that one up for grabs.
You mentioned it's been a physical couple of drives here for Nick Arbuckle. There's a defensive team meeting at number 4. This let's look at the other way, and Marcus Sales fighting the football there.
This would be a 50,
not a chip shot.
No, 56-yarder. We saw Brett Lather miss a couple of deep shots against Hamilton last week. The wind
with Alfred back there if you miss.
And not bad going this direction. He was good in warm-ups easily from this distance. Oh, why not do it to end the first half? Closing down the gap. And Liram Haralahu, long-time standout, 23rd all-time. And field goal makes with 298 coming in. And tacks that one on. Number 299 of the illustrious career, and helps give Toronto a little bit of confidence going in as Saskatchewan won the coin toss deferred, so they'll have the choice to begin the second half of play here on Friday Night Football. As A.J. Ouellette into the end zone in his return to BMO Field. Let's throw it down to Britt Dorr.
Well, your defense came out at the end of there and had a big stop, but your offense as well, taking the lead here. What do you like from your group so far?
Everybody's playing hard. We just got to be a little bit smarter. We knew they were going to come in here, talk trash, do those little cheap shots at the end. We got to keep our head though.
Well, you can feel the heat between these two squads. How did it feel for you, though, to go out there and get a touchdown against your former team?
It felt good. It felt good. It felt like the fans here, both colors, were cheering for me, so it was good.
Thanks so much, AJ.
Thank you.
We'll send things off to Kate and the panel.
That panel, once again, Enoch Mwamba and Davis Sanchez. We have ourselves a 17-10 football game. And you know what? For the Saskatchewan Roughriders, it has been all three phases. You saw the goal line stand there. That was fantastic. Obviously, Trevor Harris and A.J. Ouellette playing great once again. I know you're excited to break down the run, but you're going to have to hang on a minute here, Enoch Mwamba. But, Davis, it is also the special teams tonight. And Mario Alford, it's like year in and year out. We know, and Glenn mentioned it on the broadcast as well. My goodness, he is putting them in great field position, and he had a great first half of football.
Yeah, it's kind of what we said we needed from the other side, from the Argos. You know, have your backup quarterback. You're a little bit decimated, and you need field position to help you out. You know, entering this game, the Argos are at the bottom of the league in turnover ratio. So that's something that when your offense is struggling, you need that. And on the other side, Mario Alford, let's look at the first 3 drives of this game. Sask started at 40, 45, and then 53. That's 17 points, averaging starting around midfield. Trevor Harris doesn't need any help if anyone doesn't know. Their offense is already efficient, regardless of who they're missing, and that's just added an element. Of course, we always talk about it. If you can catch the football as a returner, huge game. Alford going up as a vet, catching that ball, giving his team great field position. But I look at that, and then the other side, the Argos starting their first 3 drives, averaging around the 28-yard line, and longer fields. They're already struggling. I think they got to find ways to get that special teams going to give them a little boost.
You know what? I have never seen Enoch so excited at work. And Enoch is excited literally each and every night at work.
Excitable, yeah.
No, and you know what? It's been great, too, because, I mean, you love drawing up the plays. You love showing it's how it's done. But when AJ rattled off that run, I mean, there was something special, but I loved your perspective because you're looking at the lines as well and how they're shifting along.
As a defensive guy, Kate, a lot of the times you got to focus on the little things that happen. And tonight, when you look at this game, what McManus is missing. You notice that right away. Now, they go to 4 down linebackers, 3 down linemen. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are already saying, we're going into a running formation. 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers in the back. There's more gaps than there are linebackers. There are defensive linemen. Now, what is going to happen? Guards are pulling. That means that the gaps are moving as well. That means the backers got to move. Who's replacing Wynn? It's D'Arcangelo. He just shoots his gap, and what happens is it opens up an alley here. He was supposed to flow with the backers. You have to flow, and this is what the ending looks like. This is what the result is when the backers are not in communication with one another. When McManus would have talked, what he loves to say when I was on the field with him, he says, talk to me, I talk back. And clearly, they were not talking, and when AJ Ouellette gets running like that, I don't think there's a lot of players in the CFL that want to get in his way.
You didn't trip. That was your main concern of going back to the coach's playbook. And look at this. This was absolutely flawless.
I'm too excited.
This is what I've been dealing with the entire time, Chess.
What should we call it? We can't call it the coach's playbook. What do we call it?
No, like he who knocks. We have to call it something with knock in it. The knock. What should we have in there? We think, you know what? If you could help us at home here, just send it to what's our straight fire at bellmedia.ca. What should Enoch's new segment be called? Don't you need that?
Man, that gets me so excited.
Oh my gosh, you're going to be sponsored by an energy drink. Just calm down.
Do I have time for more?
Go ahead, just a little bit. No, you don't? No, we have no more time? Are you sure? Not even a little bit? Not even a little bit. I'm sorry, we're going to talk Zach
about the pick and ricochet.
Oh, the ricochet. That was great doing the coffee house yesterday. We mentioned that at the 3-minute warning. Needless to say, we've got ourselves a 17-10 football game. This man's excited. We need to take a break.
I tried it. I couldn't fight it. Now I just want to get back to me. Oh, baby. Ooh, back into the man I used to be.
Week 3 wraps up with a doubleheader. We are currently broadcasting from Toronto. After this game, we're going to jump on the chopper, the TSN chopper, and head straight to Vancouver for this doubleheader. First up, Ottawa taking on the Calgary Stampeders, and then a rematch of last week, the BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And the BC Lions will be without QB Nathan Rourke this weekend in that rematch with Winnipeg. Rourke suffered an oblique injury week 2 against the Bombers, and he has been unable to practice so far this week. Jeremiah Masoli, who is signed in the offseason, will make his first start as a member of the BC Lions. You know, we spoke about this yesterday with Davis Alexander going down with that hamstring injury, just how critical it is to have a great QB backup in this league, and having a guy like Jeremiah Masoli, Enoch, I mean, this is the perfect situation. The Lions played a lot better at home week 1 than they did on the road week 2, and they're looking to obviously have that same result.
Absolutely, and you got Jeremiah Masoli. He's a guy who's been around. He's seen things. He's a guy like Trevor Harris and the Bo Levis and McLeod Bethel Thompson. So he's been around long enough to have seen, and now when your number is called, it's time to step up. I have a lot of confidence in him because of the fact that we know him to be a great thrower, a great passer, but he also has the ability to run when he needs to. But he's matured in a great way in where he can decipher when he needs to run and when he needs to pass. Early on in his career, he used to struggle with that, but I'm excited to see what he's able to do now. He's been riddled with injuries lately, but I'm excited to see tomorrow.
Yeah, and they asked Buck, you know, would the game plan change? And Buck basically said, you know, because of that, you know, to your point, the veteran guys, you know, our offense, we're going to do what we do because if Jeremiah is capable of doing that. On the flip side, Winnipeg's offense, of course, that we're seeing the debut, at least for this season, of Zach Collaros. The key for me is BC has to find a way to get pressure on Zach. When you look at the efficiency of Chris Streveler last week, and I'm giving all credit to Chris Streveler. I mean, they were efficient. He had a great pocket presence. They did a great job of mixing up the run and the pass, even when Brady went out. And the comfort he had in that pocket, the way he delivered, if Zach has that same pocket, that same run pass, and the lack of pressure that BC was able to put on them, it'll be the same result. They got to find ways to pressure
do
Zach,
a better job even.
Yeah, get him off his spot, absolutely.
By the way, I know before the break we told you to send in your names for Enoch's new segment. Sorry, it's already been named. Milt Stiegel has joined the chat now. It is going to be called Mwamba's Masterclass. How do you like that?
I like the sounds of that.
I know. Maybe you can get sponsored by Masterclass.
I love your ideas, Kate.
You know what? That's what I'm here for, just ideas. And I do love talking football as well. We'll get you back to BMO Field after this. We've got ourselves a bit of a game here. The Argonauts down 17-10, Marshall and Glenn. After this.
Well, the Argos are all in this together, and they're going to need to be if they want to get a victory for the first time this season. Their offensive leader, Nick Arbuckle, is fieldside with Britt Dort.
Nick, obviously you could feel emotions running high between these two teams. What was the biggest message at the half?
We still got a lot of football left, and we have to continue with the momentum that we've had in the end of the second quarter. Carry it forward, make sure we're standing on the field offensively and defensively. Keep getting the stops we got in the second quarter, and just lean on each other.
Thanks so much, Nick.
Appreciate it.
Well, if Nick Arbuckle ends this game with a similar stat line to the first half, he'd be up around 250 yards passing. He'd have 26 pass completions. He'd be up around 80% completion rate, and still might not win. I mean, they got to find something here. They got to find ways to score, but they're only down by 7 after a great start to this ball game. Saskatchewan had the choice. They take the football, as you would expect, to get things going, and it will be a big return by Mario Alford, setting things up out near the 40-yard line, as Trevor Harris in the first half was quintessential number 7.
9 of 11, 123 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Did not throw an interception in that first half. Almost threw an interception. Threw it right to a linebacker who dropped it. But really good first quarter for the offense, I thought. Toronto made some adjustments. Plus, they kept the ball. They had that real long drive offensively in the second quarter.
Didn't see Harris for a big chunk there in the second as he begins with a handoff to A.J. Ouellette, and right there in the middle, that's the matchup we expected to see a ton of tonight. Isaac Darkangelo stepping up at middle linebacker, one-on-one in the hole against 45.
A chance for Isaac Darkangelo in the halftime break to go ahead and look at the tablet, look at where he was making some mistakes in the run game. Enoch Mwamba showed you at halftime. Now they have to flow to the football a little better in the linebacking core. They're going to get gashed in the run from A.J. Ouellette. So see some adjustments made early in this second half by Isaac right out of the gate.
Gotta love Ouellette at halftime telling Britt, it felt like when I scored, everybody was cheering for me. It didn't matter what jersey they were wearing. He's got that kind of confidence here tonight as Harris looks to the left, passes complete across the 55 and running free, breaking through coverage. It's Dante Myers off to the races, being chased down to the 10-5, dives for the end zone. Touchdown Riders. A 70-yard major.
This is all on Dante Myers. We've seen the slant route a bunch in the last 2 games, whether it was Hamilton or Toronto here tonight. That little in route, Trevor Harris has been living on it in the last 2 games, but this was all Dante Myers after the fact. He just outran the angles and found the corner of the end zone.
Too high shell, and he just split him. Make one man miss, and he was gone. Well, they got the cannon working here tonight at BMO Field for the Argonauts scores, but Saskatchewan begins the second half with an explosion of their own.
Won the toss, deferred, take the ball in the second half with a 7-point lead. And how about that? Just to take any type of momentum. You heard the sideline interview with Nick Arbuckle. The Argos went in the locker room feeling like they had momentum in the second quarter. But Dante Myers up at the top gets that waggle run to the line of scrimmage. He runs the in, but watch how he outruns the angles. There's the in route, and stop it there. Now you got a couple of angles to try and catch him. You got to go to the goal line, the corner, and then come back. And Dante Myers got him in behind him, got him in a chase position, and then he outran all those angles.
Well, the same number of targets as last week. He had 5 against Hamilton. 5 catches, 40 yards. So he's got 5 targets tonight, 4 catches, 125 yards thanks to that big one. 71 yards for Corey Mason, Saskatchewan Roughriders. And now it's going to be a moonshot. Lofting high in the air, up for grabs, and hauled in, brought down. Wow. The Argonauts special teams, but
it's an interesting decision by Corey Mace when they've had the field position advantage and just scored. But let's take a look one more time at just some great speed from Dante Myers. Timing there, accuracy there, of course, from Trevor Harris. No surprise there. He has a nice throwing lane. But here's what I'm talking about. That angle there, if you are in chase like that, seeing number 88, you're probably just going to have the best ticket in the house to a touchdown. So you got to get that deeper angle and then come back to try and catch him, and no one was catching Dante Myers there.
No, it means nothing because they scored. But how about Isaac Darkangelo outrunning Tavares McFadden and Darius Bratton, defensive backs? Couldn't keep up with their middle linebacker as he made the effort play. They'll show that on film, I'm sure, for the Argonauts, regardless of the way this one turns out. It's an incompletion from Nick Arbuckle. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, you just saw, I mean, at the second quarter with Nick Arbuckle, looked like I mentioned, he looked like he was playing with more a sense of urgency. Had that super long drive that came away with no points down on the 1-yard line, and then had the late field goal to grab some first half momentum. But it just looks like the wind is out of that sail real quick here.
5 receivers available for Arbuckle on 2nd and long. Pressure on, down he goes. And Saskatchewan, who came in tied with Toronto for 6 sacks in the CFL lead, adds another here. It's the former Calgary Stampeder, Mike Rose.
He gets his first, I believe, as a Saskatchewan Roughrider. You knew it would just be a matter of time. This is called the A-gap between the center and the guard, and Mike Rose gets a bit of a double team there almost at the line of scrimmage, and then just sort of pushes both aside and gets straight into Arbuckle's kitchen.
Oh, Euro step as well in the celebration there. Rose with the sweet feet all the way to Arbuckle and forces the change of possession. Mario Walford backpedals after a 61-yard punt all the way to his own 15, and a return of 11. A.J. Ouellette and the Saskatchewan Roughriders running attack. Back on the rails here in Toronto in his return to BMO Field. Every football journey is different, and for A.J. Ouellette, it began back in 2018 at Ohio. First team All-MAC, big-time player looking for his opportunity. Where did he find it? Well, bang, all the way to Toronto. And lightning struck immediately when he had the opportunity for a 1,000-yard rushing season, and then made his way out west. Greener pastures, and has landed comfortably in Regina, and Thor loves being in the prairies.
6 carries so far in this game for Thor. 47 yards and a TD. I say keep feeding it to him.
They will right here, right down the middle. And starting to challenge that Toronto interior defensive line.
Well, why wouldn't you, though?
Yeah.
I mean, and this is not a shot at Isaac Darkangelo. But Isaac Darkangelo is getting a chance to play in that middle, and it's difficult. He's trying to find his way there with a very good offensive line, getting a good push up front, and Thor in the backfield. And it's not all on D'Arcangelo. He's not the only guy. I mean, run stopping is an entire defensive unit's responsibility, but that is the matchup. Middle linebacker versus tailback.
Team defense for the Argonauts.
Oh, way outside.
And free runner. It was going to be a free safety blitz by Derek Sluka, but they blow this one dead.
Good start
Offside,
for Derek Sluka.
Saskatchewan, number 18. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll replay second down.
Well, offside, a little anxious for Saskatchewan, but Derek Sluka got a interception early in his career as a free safety here in the Canadian Football League. And he's coming up from, you see him in the middle from the safety position.
Interesting backstory for Sluka. Bouncing around, looking for an opportunity. He said when he's in high school, he actually saw an Instagram post of the Argonauts, and full circle, here he is in their uniform, playing in Toronto as Harris with pressure on, will get spun down to the turf. And so on the last drive, Mike Rose gets a sack to end the possession for the Toronto Argonauts, and now it's Andrew Chatfield Jr. involved in the trade for Daniel Adebaboye with Ottawa earlier on this offseason. He makes the play to end Saskatchewan's drive.
Little twist up front that just caused that offensive line to pause for a split second, and that's all it took for Andrew Chatfield to get his third in the campaign. He's averaging 1 a game. That's 18 on the season.
That'll do.
That's a award-winning year.
He just got up and celebrated like he already hit a roster bonus or something going on there, but that was a tremendous play by Chatfield, driving inside. So Saskatchewan sends it away. This will kick back at around the 50. Try and get the 5-yard halo here as it's attacked by Calvin Turner Jr., who burst through the line. Found a little bit of breathing room, and what a great job by Calvin Turner.
We asked Ryan Dinwiddie, if he's concerned with the return game, and he needs it. He misses Janarian Grant and was going to give Calvin Turner one more opportunity or another opportunity here tonight. Want to make sure he caught the ball first, cleanly, always on the kick returns, and made the right decision when it came to the halo and when to pick it up, when to let it go, things like that. And he has done that tonight. This is the best field position for Arbuckle all game.
You see Mickey Donovan, special teams coordinator, giving him a little bit of love on the sideline, still coaching him up after attacking that football while laid on the ground, trying to draw the flag. But as everybody was bailing out of the halo, picked it up and went for a little rip. Only a net of 11 yards on the punt for Saskatchewan. So Toronto, great field position. Heavy play action here again. Arbuckle steps up, little sidearm release, and it's incomplete. He's looking for Kevin Mattal. And Fields once again there in coverage.
Mattal and Fields in this one-on-one matchup ran a long way. I mean, they were on one side of the formation, the left side to Arbuckle, and Arbuckle had the time. He steps up to give himself an extra few seconds, and Mattal came all the way across the field. Fields right beside him.
Second year at Texas Tech for Fields. Making a bunch of plays here tonight in week number 3, Friday Night Football. Marshall Ferguson, Glenn Suter, Britt Dort with you as Nick Arbuckle on 2nd and 10 again has to roll away. Texas went underneath. DeMonte Cooks, he's going to have to fight for it. Cuts back. It's blasted by Shane Ray, but it's a first down, Toronto.
I think there was little Wynton McManus cheering down there on the sideline for the Argos. This was right in front of him, and Shane Ray, who makes the tackle and pushes him out of bounds. Coaksy watched the hit, turns around and talks a little bit to McManus.
Argonauts need to finish after that explosive Myers 71-yard touchdown. This isn't going to help. They'll back themselves up.
Shane Ray, he's been fired up all night. And he got a little help from Micah Johnson there, but Shane Ray came around the edge. And I've noticed him doing a lot of talking, trying to look for his first sack of the campaign. A bit of a team meeting again. Micah Johnson there, Malik Carney, and Shane Ray.
66 career sacks now for big number 4, one of the more dominant forces on the interior of any defensive line in the Canadian Football League. They'll try to get home here again. Loss of 7, and well,
way off.
Ray was a little too fired up on that one. Gives some yardage back after the sack by Micah Johnson.
Offside, Saskatchewan number 5. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll replay second down.
Second time he's gotten nabbed for that one, and Shane Ray will make a little trip to the Saskatchewan sideline.
He got the double espresso before this game.
Well, only a loss of 2 effectively on the sack now after Shane Ray jumps, gives back 5 yards. And you can see that picket fence lined up for Saskatchewan around the 5-10 yard line. Arbuckle with pressure on, breaks the tackle. Malik Carney. Now Arbuckle makes a man miss in the open field. Picks up what he can and hits the deck at the 12-yard line.
Well, that's sort of an indication of how far this offensive line for the Argos is going to have to go to come and become better for Nick Arbuckle. That was just 3-man pressure from the Riders, and the way they staggered it, it caused problems for Arbuckle before he started to run, and then he realized he was running out of time and took off. But that was 5 against 3.
Offense staying on here is 3rd and 5 from the 12-yard line. Will they take the snap or just try and freeze and get a cheap one?
Delay game, Toronto number 4. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's still going to be 3rd down.
Never feels fair they give the penalty to the quarterback on time counts, you know?
No, I like that. I'm fine with it. I'm absolutely fine with it.
I thought you'd be okay with that.
Especially when you play defense and you've been in the situation where he hard counted you and you jumped offside.
Yeah, decent amount of playing with the cadence from 2 heady veteran quarterbacks here tonight. And another vet in the kicking game, Liram Hairolahu. Pitches this one through, but field goals aren't going to get it done for the Argonauts here tonight against Saskatchewan, as their offense has been flying up and down the field, looking for some momentum, but the boys are into it, looking for 6. It's a 24-13 ball game on Friday Night Football. And of course on the TSN app. There's some early movement here, both sides of the line.
Procedure, Saskatchewan number 66. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll replay first down.
Jacob Brammer out of Vanderbilt. Second-year hops there, and you hear the Saskatchewan offensive line trying to fire themselves up, saying, hey, lock in, it's time to go. Past the midway point here in this 3rd quarter, holding on to an 11-point lead. Dante Myers have another big splash play in his arsenal here tonight. Trevor Harris would love to save, but almost throws the interception. Cam Judge was all over it.
Last year, Calgary's nominee for Outstanding Defensive Player, Outstanding Canadian, 2 categories from the team, and this is what he does well. I mean, this is a guy who athletically is so versatile, can do a lot for your defense. He was a guy that Calgary asked when they were playing against Edmonton and Trey Ford to spy Trey Ford wherever he went. They picked Cam Judge to do that.
How big of a play would that have been if it would have been a pick 6 for Cam Judge? Harris gets another opportunity, although pressure is on. He'll check it down underneath. Looks like a holding call. Will likely be declined here. Unless they want to back him up and give Saskatchewan another shot. Mickey Donovan, special teams coordinator, talking it over with Ryan Dinwiddie on the sideline.
Well, it's 2nd and a bunch already. You take the penalty here, yeah, you're going to push them back.
Holding Saskatchewan number 65. We'll go back 10 yards and we'll replay second down.
Got Daniel Johnson, the left tackle out of Purdue, the former 5th-round pick last year.
Oh, excuse me, just out on the left side. That left tackle. Real late flag, but clearly had both hands around him.
Late communication as they break the huddle here. Trevon Tate and Daniel Johnson trying to get the play from Trevor Harris.
Sure, I would have taken that penalty.
Well, they'll hand it off. both go conservative, but Thomas Bertrand-Hudon is going to pluck his way all the way out on 2nd and forever.
So Ryan Dinwiddie decides to take the penalty, push him back, thinking he'll get a stop at the line of scrimmage and get much better field position on the exchange of the punt. That run alone flopped the decision. Saskatchewan got more back on that one run, and now they kick it off. They're going to be... I was surprised he took that penalty. Like, accepted it.
Thomas the Train adds to his impressive 2025 campaign, albeit not enough for the first down. Joe Couch comes out, and another opportunity here for Calvin Turner to make some magic with Janarian Grant still out and injured. This one an extremely high, almost as high as the top of BMO Field, and goes sailing out of bounds. So the flag comes out for an illegal kick out of bounds. That'll give Toronto pretty good starting field position for that man right there. Nick Arbuckle, the Grey Cup MVP, still at the helm of this Argonauts offense and looking for a victory here at home against Saskatchewan.
Tennis guys right there.
We have to be quiet in tennis.
Arbuckle, after the 10-yard illegal kick out of bounds penalty, hands it off. Mayan Williams, haven't said his name in a little while. They go ripping for the football, and Williams hangs on to it.
Yeah, the tough part for Mayan Williams now is the time. I know we're still in the third quarter, so there's plenty of it left, but as the game goes on, stay chasing the scoreboard, your run game starts to disappear a little bit.
That's a heck of a play by Tavon Campbell. Williams is doing everything he possibly could to set him up and get the edge. Unable to. Saskatchewan's defense holds on first down. What do they do here on 2nd? Arbuckle, 3 receivers to his right, works the pocket, has to get rid of it, and it's knocked away. Flag comes up at the end of the play, and did Arbuckle get hit after it was released?
Well, you know, both coaches, with what happened in the first half and some of the extracurricular stuff that was going on, would have brought it up.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Saskatchewan 95. We'll go up 15 yards, and it's going to be automatic first down for Toronto.
Gets the flag there for the late hit on Nick Arbuckle, extends the drive. It would have been a punt.
See how late it was here. He's coming around the edge. Arbuckle lets it go. He just had to let go of Arbuckle and go down. That's not the ones that the coaches would have talked about, though. They would have talked about the ones well after the whistle.
Four-man rush from Saskatchewan. Arbuckle steps up, looks down the field, wants to take a shot. Dave Unger, it's up in the air, and it's intercepted. Tavon Campbell took it away on the Arbuckle underthrow. And Toronto struggling to find points. It's a great opening drive. Looking for an explosive play down the field. And from the University of Regina, Tavon Campbell rips it away from Unger. And the Riders in control here late third quarter.
Well, by the looks of how Tavon Campbell played this, it was almost as if he was saying to Nick Arbuckle, yeah, you can go ahead and think your receiver is open, sure, no problem. But when you throw the ball, I'm going to make that space up in a hurry. That's great closing speed by Tavon Campbell. He's found his footing again in the Canadian Football League with the angles and the difference in the field size and all of it. You know, he comes from the NFL, career down there, but you knew he was going to be great. He knows the game from his U of R days, and it was just a matter of settling in. And he certainly has done that over the 2.5 games. First pick of the season.
Covered a lot of ground there on David Unger. Got back, picked it off, so Saskatchewan with possession, trying to throw into a window, and it's intercepted. Gave it right back on the other side. And who dug it out? Well, it's Tyshawn Blackburn, as there's a late flag that comes out as well. But the Argonauts Argonauts get possession back immediately, and after trading interceptions, somehow they have better field position.
Well, we talked all game about Trevor Harris leaning into this slant route. He loves it, and he has the timing on it, the accuracy on it. What he doesn't count is the linebacker that drops underneath it in Blackburn. Remember, earlier in the game, Kenneth George was knocked out with a illegal cut block. So Tyshawn Blackburn's got a chance to play. He opens up, twists, turns his hips open to the inside, and runs underneath that throw.
On against Saskatchewan, number 66. We're going to go up the full 15 yards. It's going to be first down for Toronto at the 1-yard line.
Wow. Put that one on a tee, but Toronto's still going to finish the deal. They weren't able to in the first half from the 1-yard line. So heavy teams are in.
Yeah, major penalties now. A new rule change is not half the distance to the goal line any longer. If it's inside of the amount of yards, it goes down to the 1-yard line.
Jared Deggy in the ball game to run short yardage here. And he will pluck his way forward, lean towards the line. Arbuckle unable to get the major from the 1, but Deggy in. Touchdown Toronto. They fire the cannons. And after the Trevor Harris interception, piling on, 15-yard penalty all the way down to the 1, and a one-play, 1-yard touchdown drive.
What a play by Tyshawn Blackburn, third-round draft pick in the 24 draft for the Toronto Argonauts out of the University of Alberta. Gives, with the penalty added, puts the Argos down inside the 5, and all of a sudden we got a game.
You think about it, that 17-play, 7.5-minute drive for the Argonauts in the second quarter resulted in no points.
Yeah.
Then they get a 1-play, 1-yard drive, point.
Down to the 1-yard line
right
on that one.
A 2-point convert coming as well.
That's him.
It's a 24-19 game right now. Trying to make it a field goal difference. So Daggy to the sideline. Spent a little bit of time with the Edmonton Elks. And Nick Arbuckle talking it through. Herdy Mayala breaking the huddle as Mayan Williams stands alongside number 4. Blitz is on from Saskatchewan. Arbuckle looks outside, rips it, and it is caught. Jake Herslow. We got a 3-point ball game here in the 6th.
Started to wonder a little bit on the timing from Nick Arbuckle as he let that ball go to Herslow. Thought he might have been a little bit late on the throw and allowing the Rider DB to cut underneath it. Here's the 2-point convert one more time. It's a push to the flat. Pretty simple route here from Herslow in the trips formation. 3 receivers to the wide side of the field. He comes underneath and pushes to the flat. And the ball gets there just in time. We got a 3-point game.
Argonauts fans made their way down on a hot Friday night to see their club back-to-back home games. Last week lost to Calgary, opened the season with a loss on the road to Montreal. Just begging for a victory here in 2025. And they've tightened it down to 3 points late in the third quarter. So if you feel like you just saw something rare, by the way, Trevor Harris throws that interception. Has the fewest career interceptions of any quarterback in the top 25 of CFL passing yard history all time. He doesn't throw very many. That was number 87 in his career. It gets Toronto back into the football game. And now their defense will retake the field and try to double down.
Let's take a look at Blackburn's interception, because you're right. It's rare to see it against Trevor Harris. He's right over here, and watch him drop. I'm going to call it on the air here so you can stop it, show you exactly what Trevor Harris thought he was going to do. He's going underneath. Stop it there. He thought he was going to go to the in route from the wide receiver. He doesn't. Blackburn flips his hips back to the inside curl, that slant that Trevor Harris has liked all game long, and that's a big play.
Almost had that Cam Judge interception.
We got a player misconduct penalty, 15-yarder against Toronto 96.
Wow.
Up 15 yards, first down.
Penalty yardage up and down the field as that one goes against Tyson Hergott.
That's a momentum killer.
No doubt. Cam Judge almost had the interception. Tyshawn Blackburn gets one there. Trevor almost offered one up in the first half as well. It's been in danger 3 different times. Don't see that a lot from Harris.
Back to the run.
A.J. Ouellette steady as ever. And a nice chunk on first down on the ground. Gain of 8.
That's what happens. You know, we've seen both teams go through it. You know, things get a little crazy when you start to throw the ball a ton. And what do you do to settle that down? Go to the run. Settle down. Line can get off the line of scrimmage. Nice gain on first down, and it gives you manageable situations when you get in 2nd and 5 or less.
I wonder if offensive coordinator Mark Mueller might dial something up here on 2nd and short. Tommy Stevens in with the heavy team. Plunge forward or mix it up.
They're going off the right side, and again.
Yep. Needs to get to the 47-yard line. Got to respect Keyshawn Johnson as well. Big block on the A.J. Ouellette run on the last play. He's in there on short yardage, digging people out of the pile again. They'll move the sticks, first down, so Tommy Stevens gets the job done. It's back to the sideline, and Trevor Harris at the controls with a fresh set of downs. Offensive lineman in the ball game. Harris hands it off. Ouellette right in the hole. Big shot. As Derek Sluka came down. Isaac Darkangelo in the mix once again. And a fantastic back and forth east-west matchup between these two clubs. Ouellette trying to set the tone. But the explosive plays on both sides. Offense, defense. We'll find out who's going to win in Week 3 Friday Night Football when we return to Toronto for the 4th quarter. Welcome back to Toronto as the stats after 3 quarters of play. We got a tight one, a ton of penalty yardage in this one as well, but it's the short yardage situations that have caught the eye of Luke Wilson on the goal line. Luke?
Yeah, you know, right now, if I'm the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, hey, we're tough up front. We're really beating this team up. When we get down to the goal line, we've had a bunch of stops where we're playing a lot of zone coverage. You go back to the first touchdown here. This is way too easy. Again, it's zone coverage on the back end. I get it's a 20-yard end zone, but Dinwiddie has got it figured out. You know, a little hitch route right there, and we're ready to go. And next thing you know, on this convert, again, it's a big 2 points. They're just running a little rub concept up top. Boom. It's a way too easy pitch and catch. Right now, you got to sit here and think to yourself, hey, we got to start playing man and really appreciate and execute the toughness that we have in this team.
Yeah, they got a mix and match here late in the 4th quarter. Thank you, Luke, as they'll hand it off inside. Saskatchewan going back to the running game on 2nd and 4 to open up this 4th quarter, and another fresh set of downs. A.J. Ouellette starting to rack up the carries and starting to piece together a real nice looking game.
Well, that's part of the toughness you're talking about, is to go to the run game. Now at over 60 yards rushing so far with a quarter to go. See if Corey Mace does the same on defense. Go a little more aggressive, send some pressure, and put his back end in more man-to-man situations.
Heavy line in. They'll just go outside for Ouellette, who's trying to cut it back through traffic. And Cam Judge, the one who got the hand in. And now Anthony Lanier II has gotten mixed up with, looks like, Del Duncan Busby.
Listen, there's already been 250 yards in penalties between these two teams. The Riders are closing in on 150 yards in penalties, a lot of which are controllable penalties where they're after the whistle, you know, and that's going to cost you a ball game. You're in a 1-possession 3-point game and you're messing around after the whistle. And for the record, and if you're a young football player listening to this, it's not tough to take a swing after the whistle. It's just not tough.
Got a player misconduct foul, 15-yard penalty, Toronto 91. We'll go up 15 yards from the end of the play. It's going to be first down for Saskatchewan.
Being tough is being disciplined and not doing that when things are getting hairy in there and it's becoming real physical. If you're disciplined, you're mentally tough, and your teammates respect that. And both these teams need to reel that in real quick, or they're going to lose the game because of it.
Well, being physically tough, A.J. Ouellette knows that, but he looks banged up, wincing with a little bit of pain there. Right arm was dangling a little bit, and he's taking a walk around the sideline to get himself right. So Thomas Bertrand-Hudon comes in, tries to bounce this one to the outside. And the Delaware State product, Canadian.
Thomas the Train.
And picks up a gain of a couple. Gets picked up by his offensive line. Is trying to find the end zone once again, and now trying to do it without Ouellette down deep inside Toronto territory.
Looks like Ouellette will be okay.
Andrew Harris and Ouellette, who used to be teammates in the Argonauts backfield here in a Grey Cup run back in 22. Watching on as Harris, the running backs coach. Ouellette, the running back, but standing on the sideline right now as Harris looks to throw to the outside. Keyshawn Johnson makes the grab.
Tackle.
And a big open field play that time. Darius Bratton holding up the fist, believes they've gotten off the field, but Saskatchewan undecided what they'd like to do as of yet.
Well, they've been off that right side in short yardage with Tommy Stevens, and it's been getting 3-4 at a crack. But that's a good tackle by Darius Bratton to cause the decision, force the decision on Corey Mace here.
Short yardage package comes off the sideline. Tommy Stevens at the controls, so Bratton and the Argonauts defense will have to earn it. One more stop. They made a big defensive play down here against Stevens earlier on in this ball game. And they do it again. They'll dig in, try to keep that yard as Stevens goes to the right-hand side. Got stood up pretty tall, leans his way forward, and where will they spot it?
First down.
First and goal, Saskatchewan.
Right side again for Tommy Stevens. And this was the best that the Argo defense over here on their left side has actually stood up. They made this one interesting. He's been getting 3 or 4 off that right side following Jamarcus Hardrick, but not just enough there.
Roderick Hansen in on the play. The one that got the biggest piece of Tommy Stevens, but couldn't get quite enough. So first and goal, A.J. Ouellette back in the backfield. We'll hand it off. Ouellette looking for his second score. And stop shy. Derek Sluka in on the play at the bottom of that pile.
Here comes short yardage again. 2 cracks at it.
Judge and Derek Sluka, Anthony Lanier. Never takes one to bring down Ouellette, especially when he starts smelling the end zone from in tight. 10th play of the drive, he'll stay in the ball game as Tommy Stevens comes in at quarterback. Stevens goes left this time, tries to get to the outside, off tackle, leans forward. Touchdown, Saskatchewan. They grind their way to a 4th quarter major as Stevens had to earn every bit of that.
Here's a little pre-snap read. Every short yardage situation with Tommy Stevens has gone to the right side. Keyshawn Johnson has been the edge player blocking. This time he went to the left. So that should have been the indicator for the Argos that it was coming that side, because they like the lead block and the edge block from Keyshawn Johnson. Has not been stopped tonight.
I was just about to say, Suits, I don't know how you stop that guy with that line when you got to be a yard off the ball. They get enough momentum going. And his biggest fan, Jake Mayer, who used to be teammates with him in Calgary as well. They both made the jump in CFL off-season movement.
Hey,
for Point is good from Brett Lowther.
Dustin and I had a draft on our short yardage players, and I took Tommy Stevens.
That's a great pick.
My pick.
First overall?
First overall.
Well, there's a reason why. There he is. Forrest McFadden trying to get a piece. Stevens into the end zone. And Saskatchewan leads by 10 again. Ben plays 57 yards. It took 6 minutes, though. I mean, 10 plays. Those 6 minutes, it was a grind, and most of it was on the ground. A.J. Olek got popped a couple of times. Isaac D'Arcangelo right in the middle of the play. And the short yardage package came to life after Trevor Harris made this rip outside to Keyshawn Johnson.
Yeah, and I know that Ryan Dinwiddie isn't going to want to hear this, but that was a penalty-aided drive because they would have been starting in their own end at the 38, the Riders. They started on the other side of center. Still had to put the drive together, I get it, but those penalties catch up to you.
A lot of penalties in this football game. Strangely chippy between the two. I guess we should have expected some with the history, but there has been a lot. And special teams has been pretty clean all night long. As a little blood on the knuckles there from the short yardage quarterback Tommy Stevens. Watching things over with the starter Trevor Harris as the Riders lead by 10. Hard to believe, but we're looking at the end of week number 3. Who's that guy? Dustin Crum in the lineup for the Ottawa Redblacks. VA still looking for his first passing touchdown, and then it is a Nathan Rourkeless BC Lions crew solely getting the start up against Zach Collaros and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Should be a great way to end week number 3. Which game has your eye, Suits?
Well, the one I got to get to.
Fair.
Winnipeg, BC.
To the outside here, winding down the fourth quarter, the Argonauts and the Roughriders battling their way through Friday night football. Feels like we got a great finish lined up for this one, and going to need something from this Argonauts offense that's more than a one-play, one-yard touchdown drive to get it done.
Yeah, Tavon Campbell's got to be careful with that hit. He's very close to a late hit on this play at the very end of it. Like
bumper cars out of bounds. First and 10. Arbuckle deep drop with pressure on. Throws this one up on the corner. Demonte Coxey hauls it in. Marcus Sales couldn't get there in coverage. And Coxey electric as ever.
Talked about accuracy all through the night. Usually when Trevor Harris is on the field, you can't throw this with more accuracy than Nick Arbuckle did here. I mean, he puts it over that outside shoulder where only Coxey could get to it.
Drops it right over the shoulder, threw it skinny too to keep him in bounds. What a throw from Arbuckle. They've needed that all night. Answers the call, now rips it outside to Jean Brissett, who had a touchdown early on in this one. Running around trying to get free.
Good fundamentals there from Brissett coming back to the ball. He's going to take that extra step back, and when he does, that saves him. Just that extra step back. Watch how it comes back. Even though he's trying to get a little separation, I don't think the DB could have got there anyway, but he comes back anyway. That's good habits to have for a receiver.
Settles down just outside of A.J. Allen, and then Knifes gets the first down. So Arbuckle rolling all of a sudden, 18 of 24, nearing the 200-yard mark. As the pressure on once again from Saskatchewan. Pocket collapses, ball's on the ground, and Arbuckle just has to fall on it.
It's a 10-point game, so Dinwiddie in his play calling, yes, you're obviously down here. You want to keep the momentum and try and score your major, but you also need 2 scores. So field goal is important too at this point. That was just, who was it, Carney, that
Baldonado, it looked like
Baldonado got around the corner and slapped that out of his hand. Little show blitz from Saskatchewan there.
95 has been extremely active tonight. Took a roughing the passer penalty earlier on, but he has been all over in the backfield against Toronto. He'll rush off the edge, the bottom of your screen here as pressure's on again. Arbuckle gets rid of it, gets hit, completes it underneath, and nowhere near the first down yardage required for Jake Herslow.
But as I mentioned, it's 2 possession, need this field goal for the Argos to make it a 1-possession game. So good decision there by Nick Arbuckle to not force it. Make it a nice, comfortable field goal and cut the lead to 7. with plenty of time to go.
A couple of great throws from Arbuckle there until the pocket started collapsing and the drive ends quickly. And meet Mr. 300. 300 career field goals now after the 2 makes here this evening for Liram Hairolahu. Yeah, why not throw another on the career tally? Number 301 is good. And makes it a 1-score game. 7 points, 7 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Week number 3, Friday night football. As the Argonauts try to find a victory for the first time in 2025. Well, you see the size of the shoulder pads. You see the vintage footage, the middle bar there, the number. Of course, you know that is Chris Schultz, inducted into the Argos Wall of Honor coming up later on this summer. A former colleague, tremendous honor that the Double Blue bestow upon the big man, and plenty of Schultz jerseys in and around this stadium, as you would expect, lifelong fans, and excited to see Schultz go up onto that Wall of Honor right below us here at BMO Field as Saskatchewan with possession and a late flag. Multiple late flags come piling in at the end of this one once again, and man, it feels like, Suits, we are 2 or 3 late flags away from
Major
a
foul,
game-changing penalty.
face mask, Toronto number 94 will go up 15 yards from the end of the play. Automatic first down for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that one's a little harder to avoid. That one is sort of one of the penalties that happens occasionally in the heat of the battle. You're reaching to make a tackle and grab the face mask. Most of the time that is accidental. I'm talking about the penalties that happen after the whistle. And in that last drive, Toronto felt the pain when they gave Trevor Harris very good field position, and he ended up scoring. There's the face mask. 272 yards in penalties combined tonight.
It off up the middle. Interior defensive line does the job once again. Isaac D'Arcangelo, man, that jersey is going to be torn up by the end of the night for 35.
Better second half though.
Gets everybody organized with Wynton McManus on the sideline in street clothes. 8 changes to the roster coming into this one from last week's home game against the Calgary Stampeders. Major overhaul in that defense for Kevin Ivan and Jason Shivers. As Trevor Harris on 2nd and 7 with the pressure on, gets rid of this one, and a flag comes out late. Harris got popped right in the chin at the end of the play. And on 2nd and 7 on an incompletion, the Riders' drive will continue.
They're sorting out here. I think the officials have talked about 91, Anthony Lanier, the former Rider. He helps up Trevor Harris and then gets the late flag. I mean, it looked like he tried to pull up.
Holding Saskatchewan number 66.
Wow.
This is a 10-yard penalty. It's going to be second down repeated.
So I was going to say, it just didn't look like enough. And, you know, I thought maybe the helmets collided head-to-head, but it didn't really. It looked like he moved it in time.
Yeah, it was more so the timing, and the challenge flag comes out here. I just multiple flags coming up as the ball's being released. You don't typically see an offensive holding at the end of the release. So Corey Mace talks it over with referee Ben Major.
Wants to see if it's roughing the passer. And again, it depends on the contact to the face mask. If there was contact to the face mask, it could be the shoulder too. It doesn't have to be head-to-head.
Saskatchewan is challenging that there should have been defensive pass interference on the last play.
Okay.
The play will be reviewed.
Why not?
Okay.
We're looking on the back end.
Corey Corey Mace had something else on his mind, and whether or not that was a late hit on the quarterback. He didn't think so either, clearly. I don't know about that.
Bit of a bear hug, but is it enough? Darius Bratton doesn't think so. Watches over his work.
Can definitely challenge that, though. Take another look at it.
Harris just kind of put it up because he knew time was running out in the pocket. That internal block.
I'm not sure, Marshall, that was catchable. That was. It looked like Johnson just kind of geared it down there, and they just both players almost stopped.
Let's go.
But here's a little hint for Bratton. I know he's been around a couple years now. Don't make a big scene when you're the DB. Just walk away like nothing happened.
It even looked like he was wagging his finger at the Saskatchewan sideline.
Kept trying to taunt.
Ben Major is our referee and has the call from the CFL Replay Center. Dave Foxcroft working back there as the replay official this evening.
Upon further review, the ruling on the field stands. Saskatchewan loses their timeout, and Saskatchewan, loses their challenge and a first-team timeout. It's second down.
And the finger wag lives on.
Well, he got away with it there, but yeah, just a little hint there.
So a whole lot of nothing at the end of the day.
Well, holding call.
Yeah.
Second and plus.
Empty it out, 3-by-3. Harris looks into the window. Keyshawn Johnson makes the grab and dives forward inside the 25. And Harris stared down Ouellette, didn't he, Suits, and then ripped it into the hole.
Well, he did, and he had to throw it right into the teeth of the rush here because he's got a guy coming right through that A gap, right down the middle, and he throws it over the rush. And the timing, look at the defenders. There's 4 blue shirts right in there. Great seam throw from Trevor Harris. Had one of those picked off, went right back to it when he really needed it on second and a bunch.
Big time fourth quarter throw from Harris in his 180th CFL game played.
Boy, that's a big one.
That's the throw of the game so far.
That's the throw of the game. Yeah, I mean, comfortable field goal range now. If they don't convert here on second down. But if they don't make that play back at around midfield, Argos are getting the ball in decent field position with plenty of time in a one-possession game.
Argonauts showing blitz. They'll send it. Harris has to get rid of it. He does. Underneath. It's caught by Johnson. Another first down for Saskatchewan. And Harris has all the answers right now.
Safety is coming. Sluka, you see Sluka coming right down the middle. Trevor Harris, though, he has blitz beaters across the board. And this time it's Keyshawn Johnson. Just get inside, flash to that slant, because you can't block them all up front.
What did Keyshawn Johnson tell us when we talked to him this week? Trevor Harris is our huddle dad. Steps into the huddle and gives them the dad voice. Says, listen, nothing silly here. Let's see what dad's got. They'll hand it off. Thomas Bertrand-Hudon gets to the outside. Flag comes out. And Joe Robustelli immediately shaking his head.
Saskatchewan 82. We'll go back 10 yards. We'll repeat first down.
Let's take a look. Took a while. Bounce outside. Okay. I guess.
Milton and Derek Sluka in on the tackle at the end of the play, but Harris.
In fairness, Marshall, to the officials, they've been throwing so many of them that it just doesn't seem like it takes much anymore. It's just kind of, well, there's probably one somewhere here.
Backs up Saskatchewan. 8 plays, 4 minutes here in the fourth quarter. I'll hand it off to A.J. Ouellette, flying into the backfield. Anthony Lanier. A tackle for loss makes it second and very long as we hit the 3-minute warning. Looking to a great finish here at BMO Field.
Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, feel the thunder. Feel the thunder.
Second and very long here for Saskatchewan, but it's the Rider toughness that has the eye of Luke Wilson.
Yeah, I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm telling you, being in the sideline right now, I can feel it. They're right behind me. And even this drive, you know, you got 7-point lead. You started with 7 minutes, and you're down right now to 3 minutes to go, and it's been mainly runs, 5 runs. And it's not this drive, it's been the whole game. They're coming after it, running the football. The big stop here on the goal line was a huge play, and I'm really impressed with Ouellette. I mean, look at him taking these guys to Ryder, getting those tough extra yards. Bam, yards after contact. This guy is running, possessed. In the short yardage game with Stevens, they've been moving bodies all over the place. Again, it's just a very, very tough performance by Saskatchewan.
Absolutely. See if they can continue their winning ways to start this season. They're going to move to 3-0 and hand Toronto their 3rd straight loss as they'll go inside conservative, and out comes the kicking unit here.
Yeah. There's some pressure. Now this is you know, I won't even jinx it by saying chip shot, but it's a very comfortable distance for Brett Lowther, but it's a big one. I mean, it takes it to a 2-possession game if he makes it. And based on last week, he's been great tonight. Basically let it go and moved on. But this is the real first pressure kick of the night.
4 of 4 on extra points so far this evening. Made a field goal earlier. That was from 16 yards. No rush to speak of, and goes wide. So throw a single on the board, and it's still a 1-possession football game.
Yeah, and I know last week he took all the responsibility and said it wasn't the hold, but I think he got the lace here. Again, I'm not giving Lowther an out because you got to make those even if the lace is... No, it looked like it was away.
Oh, he knew it as soon as it came off his foot. Well, the story is in the eyes on that one.
He's not missing by much. Well, that one was a little wide, but you know, you go through these moments, and I know Brett Lowther will work through it and he'll be fine, but that was the first pressure kick of the night. Went wide left.
But Nick Arbuckle with an opportunity. He evades the first rush, and now gets hammered, and the flag comes out. Mike Rose, Malik Carney, and Micah Johnson all in on the play, and referee Ben Major had it firsthand.
And the bench erupted as well, just to make sure that he saw it. It might have been the forearm of Micah Johnson.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Saskatchewan 42. Hit to the head. We're going to go up 15 yards.
Oh, Mike Rose, but
automatic first down for Toronto.
I think there might have been a bit of a flipper from Micah Johnson with the right arm.
They got there at the same time, so it moves it forward all the way to center field. Arbuckle does up the chin strap once again. Down by 8. Under 2 minutes remaining. Needed touchdown. Finds Dejon Brissett here. Up to the 40-yard line. They'll whistle this one dead. And another Argonauts first down.
Touchdown and 2-point. The Argos have won 5 of the last 6 meetings with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 5 of those games were decided in the final 3 minutes.
Dinwiddie trying to dial it up. 1st and 10. Saskatchewan 39-yard line. 4-man rush. Arbuckle looks over the top. Spins it for Coxie. Did he get a foot down? No. Roland Milligan right there forced the issue. Somehow Coxie held on to it. But just out of bounds.
Well, what Roland Milligan did was he ran him off the field without creating a PI by pushing him. Watch Milligan zero here just with his hips. Just runs him out of room. Now, clearly that first foot is down out of bounds. But Roland Milligan played it perfectly. Just kept running him out of field until he was out of room.
Arbuckle just laid that one up. Trusts 86 to go find it, and he did. Just barely out of bounds. 2nd and 10. Riders back end, rolling their coverage as Arbuckle steps forward. Goes underneath. Kevin Mittal. He's the first down marker. He's going to try to get it the hard way going east-west. And he'll be short.
What a tackle. It's a long yard, maybe 2, that he's short because of this tackle right here. I thought Medell was going to get the corner.
Arbuckle stays on. 3rd yard and a bit. They hand it off right down the middle. And Kevin Brown got popped, but moves the sticks.
How about that contact? He'll get the first down, but he paid full retail for that one. Jameer Thurman steps up, and that was just a good football play.
Anytime you run into a Thurman, a Sankey, it's going to hurt. Kevin Brown will be feeling that, but it'll feel much better if they get a victory here. As this one big hit from behind as Marcus Sales came in and unloaded on Dejon Brissett, who somehow held on to the football.
Who hung on to it. I mean, this is a wallop behind. Clean hit, timed well, shoulder first. Wow, what a catch.
2nd down. Argos threatening. Need a touchdown and a 2-point. Check down over the middle. And another big thump. C.J. Rivas comes and gets Kevin Brown, but it does move the sticks.
Arbuckle's got to watch the clock, too.
Well, Shane Ray and Micah Johnson headed off the field. Substitutions here on the fly. Caleb Saunders comes in on the defensive line. Baldonado in there as well. Late Cordy Moore. The Riders sub quickly in front of their own bench. Arbuckle underneath. Gets it to Mittal. Trying to reach to the sideline. Tackle inbounds. Brings up 2nd down. They'll spot the football inside the 10 and roll the clock as soon as Ben Major whistles this one is in. He does now. And Arbuckle from the line of scrimmage with 30 seconds remaining in the ball game. Week 3 Friday night football, looking for the end zone, rips it and diving towards the end zone. And he crossed the plane. Touchdown, Toronto.
Money drive by the Grey Cup MVP. Looks more like it tonight than all season long this year. From the opening drive, which was excellent right down the field to start the scoring, to this one with the pressure on and time running out. Arbuckle was just dealing the cards.
8 plays, 70 yards it only took.
Comes down to this.
1:39 with 23 seconds remaining. Gotta have it. What is your best 2-point play? Ryan Dinwiddie. Arbuckle hard count.
Coming.
Looks to the right, throws it up. Little fade to the slot. Caught it. Held on all the way through. And Dejon Brissett lights BMO on fire with the 2-point conversion. We got a tie ball game.
Mace does go with a more aggressive defense on the two-point convert. Doesn't drop in the zones that he's done throughout this game when Arbuckle has got inside the 10. This time he goes with full pressure. Arbuckle's got a corner out to Dejan Brissett, and he just has to get it out there before the free man gets home. Well protected, just enough time to get it out, and what a catch by Dejan Brissett.
How about Arbuckle finding the confidence on an up and down night for him? Starts out hot, struggles a little bit, gets the running game going, and then has to answer the bell here in the fourth quarter. Needed 8 points, got all of them. And it wasn't easy.
And remember, that drive was aided by the penalty to Mike Rose or Micah Johnson, whomever it was, on the late hit on the quarterback. Now, do you kick it to Mario Alford?
I wouldn't.
Or do you kick it away from Mario Alford?
Decisions. Ball on the tee, 23 seconds remaining, 32 all. Alford crosses the 20 to the 30 to the 40. He's got something to the 50. Come on races. No one's going to touch him. No flags down. Walk it off.
Do you kick it to Mario Alford or not? Wow. Unbelievable. He has done this all season. Not the all the way back for a touchdown type returns, but the field position advantage that he has given the Riders all year is one of the main reasons that they're going to improve to 3-0 in the season. Mario Alford's been their unsung hero, and wow, it doesn't get any bigger than that one.
On the tee for Lowther, knocks through his 5th extra point of the evening, and somehow, some way, Saskatchewan 39-32. It's a 99-yard touchdown return, his first of the season for Mario Alford.
You just got a sense when he got to the outside, he got to the numbers here, little hesitation there to let some of the blocking get set up for him, and then once he got the open field, you're not catching him. You are not catching him from behind. 34-year-old Mario Alford has still got blinding speed, and after that long drive to tie the score, yeah, that's your reaction. Just rips your heart out right there. Now, we're hearing on the replay that there was a count here, and I think there was only 11.
The Argonauts were a man short on their coverage team.
Very likely was that lane.
The 4th career kickoff return touchdown for Mario Alford is the difference, as Saskatchewan just has to shut it down now. Cover on the teams and get a stop. As Calvin Turner tries to turn the corner.
Hold on.
And there is a flag down behind the play.
Oh, it would come back anyway. It was a holding.
But a solid return from Calvin Turner, who thought for a second he had just enough daylight to somehow extend this game.
They're in the return, illegal block.
And Ryan Dinwiddie's got the challenge flag out. Saskatchewan players are all over the field.
Is he challenging a horse collar tackle? Boy, you know what? I'm not going to speculate, because the last time I tried this, it was the 4th option.
Ryan Dinwiddie in conversation right now with referee Ben Major.
Okay, so on the return, we had a legal block, Toronto. That penalty's declined. The coach was asking if he could challenge on the tackle. That's not a challengeable penalty, therefore the game is over.
And that will do it. Mario Alford plays the hero. Toronto had to battle their way back into that football game over and over and over again. And at the end of it all, it's a massive 99-yard kickoff return touchdown that wins it for the Riders.
And I don't care how many times it's kicked around about changing the kicking rules in Canadian football. Do not touch it. That's why it is so electrifying. It can happen at any time on a punt return. It can happen on a missed field goal return. And it can happen to win a game on a kickoff return.
Well, apparently not a fan of the summer solstice. He didn't want this game to go any longer. Britt Dord is fieldside with Mario Alford.
Mario, I have to know, just when this game was tied up, what was the message on the bench?
We got to do us. We know we had 28 seconds on the clock. Coach told me before we went out there, at least get it to the 40, 45. I saw the hole and I did what I do best.
Tell me what was going through your mind, though, when you're seeing that ball get kicked up. You know it's coming to you, and you see that lane open.
Just make a play. Like I always, just make a play. Try to put my team in the best position possible to win. So we was able to execute. Shout out to the blocker. So it was nice.
Well, what do you make of the season you are having? Because it's been unreal, the field position you've been able to give this team. Did you feel like you really popped at the right time tonight to have this return?
Oh, yeah, 100%, man. They came down. Hats off to them. They made it a tie game, and I just finished it all with a great return. So
thanks so much, Mario. We'll send it back to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Britton. Amazing return by Mario Alford. But hey, if you have a kick return touchdown, that means somebody's got some good news, and Cape Burness has it.
Marshall, I have some great news for Jacqueline Rice of Coalmont, BC. She's just won groceries for a year thanks to Save on Food's $1 million touchdown to win. Congratulations, Jacqueline. As we always say, never turn away from a CFL game. Marshall?
Thank you, Kate. Appreciate it. What a crazy ending to this one. Tremendous back-and-forth battle between these two teams. The Argonauts still unable to get into the win column despite their best efforts here tonight. And Saskatchewan remains undefeated. As you see, Wynton McManus out of the lineup tonight, but highly appreciative of the efforts of Mario Alford to play hero at the end.
Quite an exciting game, and you know, you got to give some credit to the Argos. I know there's no sort of moral victories when you're 0-3, but with their lineup tonight and the injuries they were going through coming into this one, their offensive line changed, the receiver lost one of their top receivers, their tailback, their middle linebacker. They took this right down to the wire.
Well, Saskatchewan continues to love the month of June. Now 10-2 in the month of June since 2022. Their last win in Toronto was way back in September of 2019. But they are now 3-0, and all of those wins coming against the East Division. Ottawa, Hamilton, and now Toronto have all fallen to A.J. Ouellette, Trevor Harris, Jameer Thurman, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. There's a great doubleheader coming up for you tomorrow to round out week number 3 in the Canadian Football League. A tremendous back-and-forth battle here tonight between the Argos and Riders. For Glenn Suter, Britt Dord, I'm Marshall Ferguson. Thanks for watching. It's time now for SportsCenter.
That was quite the finish at BMO for the Argos. Oh my goodness, a walk-off kick return basically for the Riders. They're now 3-0 on the season. All 3 wins coming as Eastern Division opponents. Laura Dyke and Glenn Sheeler along with you here for SportsCenter. Bad news for the Argos though. They're 0-3, the Grey Cup champions, Laura. The last defending champ to do that, the Red Blacks in 2017, who did finish 8-9-1 and make the playoffs, but they lost their first playoff game. Can't really blame Arbuckle for this one, but you don't want to be 0-3 to start the year.
Yeah, and the Argos offense showing signs of life, you know, after scoring just 29 points over those first 2 games. They were right in it until the final seconds, and again, no Chad Kelly for this one. Still recovering from his leg injury. Not expected to return next week. The Argos hopeful he'll be back for week 5 against Hamilton. So yes, Nick Arbuckle under center once again. Argos opening drive working out pretty well for them as he airs it out to Kevin Mattal. That's good for 41 yards. Arbuckle 6 of 6 on the opening drive, and it caps it off with this touchdown pass to Dejon Brissett. The Argos on the board, taking the early 7-0 lead. Meantime, the man they call Thor, A.J. Ouellette, making his return to Toronto, and we are still in the first quarter.
Giving his quarterback the edge.
Great seal on the edge, and we'll see if they can get back that way again with a lead blocker in front. Ouellette cuts back to the 10. 5. Nobody will stop him in his return to Toronto. Thor's in the end zone.
Hey guys, remember me? Won a Grey Cup with you back in 2022, but now I'm a Rider and I'm running all over you. 25 yards for the touchdown against his former team, and we're all tied up. We're still in the first quarter. The Riders driving once again. It's Trevor Harris spawning Dante Myers, and he's in there for the touchdown as well. Great first quarter. Riders up 17-10 at the half, and they're driving again to start the third quarter.
He's got that kind of confidence here tonight as Harris looks to the left, passes complete across the 55 and running free. Breaking through coverage. It's Dante Myers off to the races, being chased down to the 10-5. Dives for the end zone. Touchdown Riders.
Myers outrunning all of them, and he's having a big night. 70-yard catch and run for his second touchdown of this one. 24-10, Riders in control, right? Well, still in the third. The Riders pin deep. This time Harris is picked off by Tyshawn Blackburn. That led to an Argos touchdown. So Toronto down 3, heading into the fourth, where it's Tommy Stevens in short yardage.
Forward.
He breaks the plane. Another touchdown for the Riders as they extend that lead. But yes, let's get to the wild finish here. 30 seconds to go. Arbuckle to Mattal, 8-yard touchdown, and that makes it a 2-point game. So how did the Argos fare on the conversion? Pretty well. Brissett hangs on to that football, so we're all tied 32 apiece. But still time on the clock left for the Riders.
23 seconds remaining, 32 all. Alford crosses the 20 to the 30 to the 40. He's got something to the 50. Come on races. No one's going to touch him. No flags down. Lock it off.
And here we thought we would see a little overtime at BMO Field, but Super Mario Alford, the 99-yard return touchdown, ends this one as the Riders improve to 3-0. Back-to-back 3-0 starts now for Saskatchewan under head coach Corey Mace. The Riders also snap a 3-game losing skid at BMO. It's their first win in Toronto since September of 2019. As for those Argos, 0-3 now without Chad Kelly this season. And over the last 3 campaigns, the Boatmen 20-4 when Kelly starts, and just 6-9 when he does not. With more on this wild one on a Friday night, here's Catherine Burness in the panel.
Alongside Enoch Mwamba and David Sanchez, we have told you before, we will say it again, never turn away from a CFL game. What an incredible ending to this one. And look, on paper coming into this game, you looked at the Toronto Argonauts and all their injuries. You looked at how well Saskatchewan had played, and you're thinking this might be a one-sided battle. But this one came down to the wire, Enoch.
It did. It really did. And you talk about this Toronto Argonauts team. We talked about Chad Kelly not being there. We talked about Wynn McNamus not being there. There's a guy that we didn't talk about enough. Jack Cassar, he is a star for this team. He is the pillar in special teams, and it showed up, and they missed them tonight because when they had a chance to take this game to overtime, he wasn't able to. Brett Lawler misses a field goal, and now they come back and they score a touchdown. Shout out to Nick Arbuckle, who drove all the way down. Kevin Mattal played really well, and Dejan Brissett with the touchdown catch in the corner. But you gotta finish the game. You have to finish the game. They had 11 guys on the field. The person that was missing wasn't even suited. And he's their best player on special teams. I mean, you just have to finish and focus all the way to the end. This is the CFL, and this is what happens when you're not focused.
You know what? When you're out, man, you look at they're obviously decimated on offense. They're missing their starting quarterback. I mean, that's a big issue. And then look, field position. Talk about special teams, Knock. The first 3 drives of the game, Saskatchewan started with the ball at midfield. Now, you're already missing your guy. You have to help in special teams. And the turnover ratio, which we talked about. Entering the game, Toronto was -4 in the turnover ratio. That's 9th in the CFL. And they were -1 again tonight. So you're losing the turnover battle. Also, special teams, you're not getting the field position. You add those things up, and Chad Kelly's not in the game. You're not going to win many games. Now they're 0-3 and headed to Ottawa.
And I'll tell you this, Super Mario, he was fantastic. And the field position he gave this team throughout the entire night was fantastic. And you know what? I think we talk a ton about Trevor Harris, AJ Ouellette. We talk about everyone around this team. But Mario, he's 34 years old and he's still doing this.
Absolutely. He was awesome. I talked to him in the preseason. He told me, I'm going to have a big year. And guys often say that, but Mario Alford...
They always do.
They always do. But Mario Alford often produces. Let's give a quick shout-out to this SAS defense, though. They had 4 sacks. They held the Argos to under 50% on second down conversions. There was a time in this game, if we want to look at a bright spot for the Argos, there was a part in the third quarter when they started to mount a comeback, and they got Saskatchewan 4 straight times, either turned them over or made them punt the ball. That gave them a chance to get back in the game. If you're trying to find a bright light, that was it for that Argos defense.
That defense played well, and everybody happy in Rider Nation, but no one happier than AJ Ouellette coming back, blowing a kiss on camera as he runs down, and 91 yards tonight and added with 15 receiving.
And you know what? With him and Thomas Bertrand Houdon, I mean, the running backs that they have, too, and then Kadeem Carey just waiting out there in the practice roster, too. This is a nice-looking team. And look, good teams find ways to win. They honestly do, and unfortunately for the Toronto Argonauts, it has not been so smooth to start the season. 0-3, that is their worst start since 2019. And the Argos have one of the worst championship hangovers in CFL history since 1949. Only 4 teams that have won the Grey Cup have gone on to start the next season without a win in their first 3. The Argos are now there. The most recent, the Red Blacks, back in 2017. Starting the season with 3 losses, 1 tie following that Grey Cup win. We will see if the Argos can get into the win column, ironically, against the Red Blacks as we send it back to Sports Center.
And he threw 234 yards in the win. New on SC, Trevor Harris with Britt Dort.
Trevor, kind of a wild sequence of events to end the game. What was going through your mind when they tied it up, 23 seconds to go, and you know that ball's going to Mario Alford?
Yeah, excuse my voice. I was just hoping for us to get a good enough return where we could get in striking distance, have 2 or 3 plays to kind of get in field goal range. And so, and then Mario takes it back to the house. So you can't script any better than that.
Well, I know it was probably exciting for you to see your good pal, AJ Ouellette, get the win against his former squad. But I want to point out Dante Myers tonight. What did you think of his performance?
He's an explosive athlete. He's makes tough catches. He's just one of those guys where at any moment he could explode. And we're excited and fortunate to have him.
As well, Toby Stevens, really getting out there, making some plays, making people give some second looks to him. What did you think about his short yardage game tonight?
I mean, you got to he might be the greatest of all time at it. He's unbelievable. He really is. He's just one of those people where 3rd and 2, you're kind of comfortable putting him out there. He's just kind of that kind of a guy. So, again, fortunate to have Tommy, and we're just really, really grateful to come out with a win.
Well, you could feel the heat between these 2 teams tonight. 18 penalties from your group. What do you take from that?
Yeah, too many. Obviously, that's not winning football, and we've got to be better when we've got an opportunity to close games and be able to extend leads and that sort of the situation. Me putting the ball in danger a couple times, can't be doing those sorts of things. So we've got to win ball games and make sure we're alert here for Bears.
Well, I'm going to let you celebrate a 3-0 start to the season with your teammate here.
All right, thank you.
Yeah! That's a big bear. He had to keep his concentration there during that interview. Week 3 in the CFL wraps up with a doubleheader tomorrow. Here are the odds courtesy of FanDuel. The Lions will start Jeremiah Masoli at quarterback in place of Nathan Rourke. They're a home underdog in a rematch against the Bombers. Kate and the panel will be on site in Vancouver, having you covered for both of these games tomorrow. So a quick turnaround. I guess they're happy there was no overtime tonight, that's for sure. The Argos came close tonight, close but no cigar. Toronto head coach Ryan Dinwiddie now is new on SC.
Well, we didn't stay in our lanes. They had a blatant block in the back, too, that they missed. I couldn't challenge that, right? Yeah, we had 11 guys on the field, too, right? And we had a chance to huddle up and get everything squared away. So, specials I thought was pretty bad for the 3rd week in a row. We got to get that fixed.
With the way the game went, Nick rallying there at the end, what's the message to the guys after a moment like that?
Well, I never really got after those guys. This is the first time I had to after a game. Pretty embarrassed by it. I thought it was selfish play, selfish penalties. They were chirping all game, fine. We talked with our pads. We got involved in the chirping game, and it cost us. We had selfish penalties. That's the one thing I hate. It ain't about you. It's about the team. And we ain't even close to being there because we don't know how to not lose games. Not about winning games, not losing games.
Coach, can you just talk, though, about the play of Brissett tonight?
What's that? Sorry.
The play of Brissett tonight.
Brissett played well. You know, I mean, we just got to find ways to get these guys balls. I feel like our playmakers, you know, our receivers can go catch it, right? And at 50-50 balls, Kevin made a great play on the first drive, right? The offense battled. Defense, you know, every time we got a score and got within the game, we give up an 80-yard touchdown drive, right? So we're not playing collectively.
On the positive note, in the third quarter, what did you think about when, you know, your team kind of recovered after giving up a pick, then they get a pick and put you on the 1-yard line after you got stopped on the 1-yard line earlier in the game?
Yeah, I thought we got beat up front. You know, we got one of our guards that's 280 pounds. I don't know what he did all offseason.
Ryan, did it just feel like, you know, you get a little bit of momentum and then all of a sudden you couldn't get a stop? Did it kind of feel like that on the sidelines for you guys?
Yeah, it was the whole game, right? As soon as we get a drive together, right, we're not playing all together. Defense got to step up too, right? It wasn't anything crazy that they were doing, right? They didn't have us schemed up. They're just playing pitch and catch. And then the penalties. We have more penalty yards than our freaking offense, right? And they all were selfish ones. So I told those guys, someone's going home tomorrow. Some heads are rolling. I ain't putting up with that stuff no more.
Is that the action to fix it?
A lot of hot takes there from Ryan Dinwiddie. The Argos 0-3 for the first time since 2019. That year, they started 0-6 before finally earning their first win, ultimately finishing the season 4-14. That was also the last time the Boatmen missed the playoffs.